Okay, something's wrong. Hang on a second. I think I'm using the wrong microphone. I can't tell. Okay, is this better? Oh, there's some like buzzing or something. Hang on a second. Are we back? Okay, welcome back. Hey Kevin, hey Isabella, Simon. Did this break the streams completely? I want to see what happened on YouTube over here. Huh, interesting. It doesn't look like anything happened there. Hey Shane, thanks for the resub. Welcome back. Let's see what happened over here. It should have just shown that not like this screen. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, well, that's whatever. As long as as long as it didn't make like a 1 minute long video, I think we're okay. Hey, M2, happy Friday. Yeah, so today we have mentoring at I want to say 11 and it's almost 9. So Adam is going to keep working on revamping quests. They weren't well, maybe we just leave it at that. Hey, Magnetic Bind. Hang on a second, we have to there we go. um keep working on revamping quests. There will be a tavern, which will, let's say this, in Skeleton. There will be a tavern, which will offer a quest at any given time. And the rewards are permanent stat boosts for your adventurers. At a stream uptime of about 2 hours, Adam will be mentoring Remy. Here we go. Be cool if we could chat to Twitch chat from Discord. I watch on my iPad, so I can use both monitors for work, but then I have another browser window open for chat. I think the only way you'd be able to do that, unless Twitch coded something like that, would be to relay it through either your individual accounts or like one single account. So for example, I could have my bot type everything that shows up in one particular channel, but then people could abuse that. So yeah, we would need to have it that you like log into an account and then there's some program you're running. Anyway, it would be possible to do. It's not it's not probably even like that hard technically. So I have some brief news, which I shared on Discord, but that jump game that everyone plays during my breaks, I just up and deleted the save file. I was looking through some changes over here and I clicked the revert button and it says that dialogue like you're going to delete these forever, are you sure? And I'm like, yep, I'm sure. I didn't actually stop to think about it. I just deleted it all. So yeah, that's gone. And I think the only sort of fair thing to do is to just wipe out the entire save file because otherwise I would be going through VODs to try to find what stats that people have. And it's doable, but it's only doable for the people who came in the top 3. So let's say you always came in 4th place, I wouldn't have any clue what your stats should be. So I think we might as well just wipe them all out. Yeah. Yeah, the URL I'm using, for example, is this one, which is just a browser window with chat and nothing else. Okay, well, let's go delete the save file, I guess. And then probably have some system. I'll put weekend here. I should put the mentoring video online, schedule another session if that's what we decide, and have some system in place for backing up the jump Royale save file. Yeah. All right. Yeah, let me go delete the save file. I know. Sad day. Code jump FFI type JSON. There it is. There's no reason to even look at it again, although I am going to load it up one last time. The reason I say there's no reason to look at it is because it's on GitHub, so it's always going to be saved there. But yeah, let's delete it. Start season 2 of Jump Royale. I accidentally deleted the save file in a way that was unrecoverable. As a result, it's fairest to just wipe out everyone's save data. Sorry, everyone. Why is it not detecting the change? Huh. That's concerning. That's very concerning. We didn't put it in here, did we? No, we didn't. It's status. Shows that we deleted it. Why is this not? Oh my God, because I didn't launch VS Code through this. Yeah. Okay. Then let's copy paste all this out of here and put it over here and paste and commit and yes and push. Okay, there we go. So now we're back to square one. Hey, Dave. The other project opened just file. Yeah, it was just the file. I'm being a bit dense. Okay. Yeah, by the way, any system of having save data on a local computer, actually on any computer, it doesn't matter what, it's possible the computer goes bad or the backup script doesn't run or you haven't tested the backup script and it's running with an error or something like that. So the only real way to have stopped this is to have an automated backup solution on a separate computer and have tested that. Although an automated backup system on the same computer would also have worked. So maybe we just do that for at the beginning. At the simplest, just copying the file to OneDrive or something would be fine. Yeah. Leaderboard when? Starting now. Thanks, Ogden. All right, so we're going to work on the tavern for about an hour and a half, hour 45 minutes, and then we're going to mentor Remy and then continue with whatever tavern stuff we can do. Just based on the number of bullet points we have here, I'm not even looking at the complexity yet, this will not get done today. But I'm going to try my hardest to make things not last entire weeks, which means just working a lot in my off time. And yesterday I was working a lot too, but there were a lot of PRs and a lot of different repos. So yeah, let's get to work. There's saving it here too. Yeah, that could potentially work. Although I need it to be on another computer, I guess. Hey, unknown. All right, so stop hard coding this. I think we did this already. Yeah, I think we did this. Oh yeah, I gotta switch to the branch. What am I doing? Git checkout, add tavern. Did not match any. Oh my God, now I'm not in Skeleteller. Okay, make item in its own scene with its own quest progress. Make it be at 0, 0. Make sure I filled out drop off item and will accept item. Need to resurrect a lot of this code. Make sure we still have sound effects. Maybe it'll be annoying. Eek is officially on the menu. You're right. Yeah, thanks for submitting the PR. Turns out it broke the build because apparently there are automated builds on GitHub and they require certain spaces to not exist. So I just had to go in and save the file and repush. Okay. Item bin and shop. Oh man. All right. So how are we going to do this? We want the stuff that was in here to change. I want it to be an item bin. Okay, so let's take quest progress out of here. Can we just cut and paste it? Yep, cool. Okay. So quest progress is out of there, and is this all stuff that should be here? Yes. But now, item bin should not have a static body that's that large. The shop should have a static body. Except, is this a reference to the other one now? I don't actually know. Let's just drag this and change the size of it. And if it changed over here too, then we know that it was. No, it is not. Okay, so all we need is for this to... Ooh, there's... Oh, yeah, yeah. We delete the item bin from here. This is going to be fun. We're going to have a lot of work to do. See my answer about the dialoger? I did not. No, I had a slightly slower start to today. I've been trying to get all the sleep I can so that the streams are productive. Let me go take a look. This is it. This is make or break, everybody. Oh, what's this? Also, this is fair. Totally fair. Yeah, this is fair. Why does notifier get a fancy name and this doesn't? Notifier is a real word. That's why I got a fancy name. Anyway, pure silliness is fine. I'm fine keeping it that way. Yep. Had you answered like, oh, I just didn't think about it, then I would have probably changed it. But as long as it was some thought behind it, then I'll be like, okay, you know what? That name probably means the most to you in the world. So let's keep it. There's nothing that matters more. Fun fact, Kevin moved countries because of the word dialoguer. Not as he claims for love. So where there'd be some linter format I wasn't aware of. Yeah, and it's fine. If we had a lot of people contributing to Jump Royale, then I'd probably try to make it more obvious how to do that, but I just didn't. It's totally real, not in English. Yeah, I searched for it and a French word came up. So I thought, maybe we should change this. All right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put this on top so we can actually see what we're doing here. Oh, it still doesn't show on top? What? How do you get this to show on top of everything? Anyway, it doesn't matter. We should probably make it a little bit larger than it really is. Maybe something like that. Because NPCs cut corners right now. But that looks good. Now we'll put it down here. And there's our shop. That should just work. Now for the item bin, we want this to be at 0, 0. Transform is set to some middle of nowhere place. And why is this so tall? Why is that so tall? Because of this, maybe? Oh, no, the animation, just when it opens up, it gets very large. How do we... It doesn't get that large. Yeah, that's as large as it gets. Maybe it's got a size without needing a size. Item bin is an animated sprite, right? Yes, it is. And it does not seem to have a size. Strange. Sprites have empty space above them. Oh, they look like they take up 2 tiles, basically. So it's a sprite sheet thing. Where is this? Town. Oh, what is... It's... What? I'm a little confused by this. Let me save this. Go to itembin.tscn. The sprite frames are coming from inside the house. Sprite frames here. Where are you? Here. It's a sub resource. How do you even look at that? It's not local to scene. Huh. I don't actually know. Sprite frame. No, it's not in here. I am so confused. Oh, I guess this is how. Well, still, it doesn't tell you where these files are coming from, right? Oh, there we go. Atlas texture, chess.png. Got it. So now we look at chess.png. Open in external program. I'll just do this and open it in GIMP. Yeah, it is just very tall. It's taller than it needs to be too. Like none of this space is used. Well, this space. But okay. We can just move the sprite. It's okay. I just wanted to be centered roughly where it's like here-ish maybe. That way the drop-off point is correct. All right, so that looks good. Now the collision shape should be moved so that it's just around here. Maybe a little smaller. Why is this so difficult to manage? Is that good? No, it's still too big. There, that's pretty good. Okay, turn this back on, and then move the quest progress thing to the right spot. Now for this, we do need to know that when the thing is open, that we're showing this in the right spot. Can we show this frame here? How do we do that? I guess just like that. So we can move this down a little bit further. Yeah, that looks good. Do we need 2 collision shapes? We could probably listen to the clickable area using the other static body, but I think it's fine to separate them. They happen to represent the same general thing, but maybe not in the future. In the future, maybe we do change the pathfinding algorithm so that these are very, like, they're pixel perfect, and you don't want the clickable area to be pixel perfect, but we just haven't done that yet. Okay. So we got everything here. Quest progress. Now I gotta go resurrect some code from other stuff. We also need to make tavern thing. Make sure I filled out a drop-off item and will accept item. Need to resurrect a lot of this code. Yeah. Yeah. So we should be able to run this. I'm trying to run it now. Does it make sense to have class or adventure specific quests? So I'm not sure if you were here or caught all of the changes that we wanted to make, but whoop, something broke. Hang on, I will not forget to describe those changes. Let me just see what's going on here. The shop had an item bin, I guess. And now it doesn't. Oh man, and there's non-clicked item bin. Oh man. All right. Gotta move the item bin code from shop to the tavern. So we're gonna need to start fleshing out the tavern, I think. Anyway, here's what we settled on for a lot of this stuff. So you'll still get quests. There'll just be an accept quest button, and it's gonna have you collect like 3 random items in semi-random quantities. And then at the end of it, you'll get a reward based on the sum of the values of the items turned in. So this is the very short explanation of what's going on here. As an example, you might see something like accept quest. I want 4 potions in 5 swords. And then you'll get whatever, plus 10 health and plus 1 power when you complete it. This affects all of your adventures, and it is permanent. So I thought for a while about would it make sense to have, like, instead of getting this, that you get like a stat gem or something like that, and then you apply the gem to a specific adventurer. But the reason I don't like that is because of what I was calling like the Pokemon phenomenon, which is you would probably just put them all into one character and then just break the balance of the game. So we need some artificial way of stopping that. Now there'd be like, you'd need, 1 stat point to get the first boost, and then 2 stat points to get the second boost, and so on and so forth, so that you can't just dump them all into one character. I made a mistake. I was the first reply in a happy birthday Slack thread at work. Are you just saying you're getting a lot of notifications now? Because can't you just mute them or something? It does. Likely was not here. Okay, yeah. Yeah, anyway, so this is the overall system, and this idea is rejected. What language is this? This is C#. And welcome in, Alfie. I'm just gonna get a million notifications. Yeah. So, yeah, a couple of other things were talked about. The whole point of this system is give you another way to gain power in the game, and will balance the game around you not having done every possible quest. So that way, if you are struggling, just go do some more quests. There is kind of an issue with anything like this. Anything that can change the difficulty in a game, you can't ever be totally certain if players are just going to do it anyway. And the classic example here is just pretty much any RPG with leveling. Like a boss might be level 10, let's say. And maybe there's some player out there in the world who's like, just having fun grinding. I get to level 18. They totally trivialize the boss. There's no difficulty. They, I don't know, move on with their lives. And I think this is well understood by people who've played enough of these games. But if it's your first game, you might just be like, "Oh, I want to do these quests," and you do the quests, and you just out level all the other characters. And some of them do things like level syncing or some other way of solving this problem. Anyway, in Skelliseller, if you end up doing quests, you're going to become too powerful, and that's just your game experience. If it ruins the game, then we'll need to do something about it. If it doesn't ruin the game, then who cares? Only done Python at the moment. I'm very interested in C# though. Yeah, once you've learned one programming language, I think learning any other programming language is easy, even if it's not the same paradigm, because you've already gotten through sort of how you think like a computer. And then the keywords and the actual paradigms and kind of how you set things up aren't so different. You make your own game? Yeah. Check out the Skell command. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't have said that because now it's going to print it another time. Nope, it didn't catch it. All right, so yeah, got to move this to the tavern. And all of the shop code needs to not refer to item bins anymore. So what do we have here? We have the item bin itself. Let's put that in the tavern. Let's also just split this so we can see them side by side. So this is going to go over here. What else? On clicked. What was this used for? On item display clicked went there. On item bin clicked. Or you could pre-incarnate adventurers and have their stats reset or something for something else in return. You have the grind be repeatable. You mean like an ascension or a prestige loop? Because I think I want to be careful about anything you have to do on the individual adventurer level. There are no command cooldowns, no. I wanted to code those and then just never did, and then moved on from writing bot code. Yeah, prestige loop. Yeah, I want to be careful about doing that for adventurers. I also want to be careful about adding anything in that's maybe a little too complicated. Right now, I think a lot of the systems that we're talking about here are changes to systems that existed. And it's sort of weird to say because if it's a change to a system that existed, it's almost like you just made a new system with the changes to begin with. So it's kind of like adding something new. But we had already deemed that it was an acceptable level of complexity. I just don't want there to be something else where you're like, oh, I don't have enough power. What do I do? And then there's like a prestige button somewhere and you got to find it and you got to realize what is it? How does this work? If we were going to do that, by the way I would rather surface that is just a difficulty slider for the game itself. So there's some like easy, normal, hard, and you could just set it to easy when you want to. Yeah. What genre? So Alpi, one of the things I try to have in this channel quite a lot is commands for everything. And I don't say this to be rude. I get asked the same questions like 400 times per day. So please do take a look at the FAQ. Hopefully that answers your questions. If it doesn't, feel free to continue to ask. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so where does this get used? This is also in the town and it's on clicked item destination. Because it can't be used as a source. Okay, that's fair. I think it's fine. We can put this over here then. I found it, thank you. Enjoy the piece. All right, any other item bin stuff? Yeah, ready. So get all of this over there. All right, now an item bin used to get initialized with a shop. That's not gonna be the case anymore. We're gonna have to change that. Thanks, Balsa Plane. Hope your Friday's going well. Good to see you. Yeah, I don't think today. Let me take a look really fast. I don't think today is going to be hard. I think it's going to be a lot of bricklaying, which is just, kind of tedious task after tedious task. And as long as I've got that in my mind, that I think will be okay. Some days there are just hard problems to solve. I don't think that's going to be today. I also think there are so many of these bricks we have to lay that it's going to take a long time. All right, get all item destinations. We do not add the item bin in here. All we're going to do is return the get item displays, which I guess means that this doesn't need to exist. Do we have a get item displays already? It's private. We could just make this public. Where is this called? Once, I'm guessing? Yeah, once. You know what? I think it's fine. I think we'll just keep it like this. It is a little weird to have a proxy for another function, and this other function is probably not called at all. No, it is. Yeah, you know what? I'll keep this. I think it's fine. All right, any other item bin stuff? No, that's it. So now we just have like 400 errors in other files. Oh, ho, ho. All right, create tavern. Oh, we don't have a create tavern. I never wrote that. Did I comment it out? Because I definitely wrote the words create tavern in some place. There's a tavern sign. Build, play sound. Oh, look at that. This should eventually build the tavern, but nothing happens yet. Oh, thanks, Past Adam. Okay. Past Adam really is not to blame. Past Adam couldn't have done anything. Past Adam did nothing wrong. Tavern. So we got to call that from here. Town dot create tavern. Yeah. Do you think computing would be more advanced if Alan Turing didn't die? If it would have been, it would have been so marginal that it would probably be imperceptible. Because I don't think any one person had a big impact on computing that wouldn't have already happened after computers became popular. Like if there were only two computers in the world or something, then yes, the hands of one scientist might have been massive. But yeah, every piece of technology lets you expand on all the other pieces of technology that came before it. So it's like as CPUs got faster, you could do more with a computer. And now that there's AI, it's like people who don't have skills could also do something with a computer. Will the tavern be an early game building? I think we're going to change. You might like this idea, unknown. I think we're going to change pretty much everything to do with progression so that um, the old system was phase one would give you like X gold. Phase two would give you roughly 2x gold. Phase three would give you roughly 4x. And phase four would give you roughly 8x and so on and so forth. In the new system, I think rather than giving plus 100% every time, it'll maybe be plus 20% every time. And that way we can have prices for things that don't get trivialized. So imagine if you have like the price of some X thing is, I don't know, whatever, 500 gold, and the price of some other thing is 50,000 gold. It's like, if you can afford this, then this is just a drop in the bucket for you. And I don't think that's healthy for the game because it makes it so that we're steering you into how to play the game. So instead, what I think we need to do is something like this. There can still be variants. It just shouldn't be gigantic. So maybe it's like 4,000 and 6,000. So, well, I suppose I have another zero. So now you might decide to get X first, or you might decide to save up a little bit more and get Y first. And that's on you as a player to decide. So what I think is that the tavern is just going to be another one of those buildings where it's like, you can get this. And it'll cost, I don't know, maybe like 75 gold or something. And maybe you choose to, maybe you don't. At some point, hopefully you put aside the money for it. Because we are going to balance for you having done probably some of the quests. Alfie, I don't mind if you're chatting in chat. I wouldn't be streaming if I didn't want people chatting. Did I see the new AMD CPU with 192 cores though? No, I did not. Yeah, there's a no segmenting rule. I know this is maybe a bit much to take in, Alfie, like the commands and the rules. There are only really two rules. It's no segmenting and don't share personal information. Everything else is just if it happens and you violated the sensibilities of others, then we'll just probably purge your messages or something. Drop of ogre blood costs 50 times the town bill. Drop? Drop? That was like a 2-liter carbonated bottle. It's root beer flavored. It's an insult to say that it's a drop. Okay, so we haven't actually ever created the tavern here. We also probably want to wipe out the ground beneath it, which is something the enchanter has to do. Yeah. Hey, who cares? Ogre blood is printer ink. The drop of the ogre sized bucket. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. All right. So we're going to create the tavern. Do we already have the tavern listed here? Oh, we do. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Okay, so pretty much just replace all of these things with the tavern. We don't have an on-clicked pot. We have this. Tavern.init doesn't exist. We got to probably do that. I'm guessing a shop had an init that took in a town. Yep. So let's put this over here and get the town. All right, we're slowly unbreaking things. Not quite. Here we instantiated a shopkeep. I actually do want there to be an NPC, but what do you call the NPC for this? It's not fair to call him a barkeep, right? Because a tavern isn't just a bar. Tavern master? To do, add an NPC here. Need to pull out the heated blanket today. It's cold and we're learning that our house is not that well insulated. Call him John. Oh, I meant like a general term for whoever would look over a tavern. I think probably, yeah, bar manager, barkeep, tavern master. I love heated blankets. I think they're great. We're having a movie night tonight, and like where we're going to have the movie is a very cold room. So we're gonna have heated blankets. Tavernor, golden frogs. It sounds very funny. Sounds like a robot. What movie? It's a Wonderful Life. It's one of my favorite movies. And part of that was born out of laziness of not wanting to figure out a better movie because there's going to be how many people? I think 5 people total. And it's not like it's hard to make a movie or come up with a movie for 5 people. It's just, it's not easy. So It's a Wonderful Life is a pretty inoffensive choice. Muppets Christmas Carol. I'm not sure if I've seen that. I just watched the new Terminal montage video on YouTube, and there was a Kirby Christmas Carol. That was pretty good. It's a Wonderful Life is a classic. Yeah, it's a really good movie. I feel like, well, I don't want to launch into this again, but I think every piece of media has a time span, and some of the classics are getting, I think, a little bit dated, maybe. I watched Casablanca for the second time in my life, somewhat recently. And there's some parts of it that it's like the story is still nice, but sort of how things are communicated are just, they just feel like a different time. And enough of that happens, and eventually it's like, well, you just can't enjoy the movie as much anymore. Whiplash? I don't think I've seen that. Tavern Keeper? Yeah. Yeah, I think Tavern Keeper's not a bad choice. Tavern Keeper, maybe? Yeah. All right, so there was a get size on the Enchanter Den. This is just get the size and pixels of this thing. Why do we even bother having a get size function then? Is this always what this does? Yes. I guess the reason why we wouldn't do this is if we ever had something else in the scene. Maybe the NPC is outside of this place, but that doesn't really make sense. So I think we're just going to delete this stuff. My Cousin Vinny. I like My Cousin Vinny. I think it's a good movie. Yeah. Barkeep is a bit more common. It can mean the owner. Tavern keeper is also sufficiently descriptive. Well, the name we're applying here is probably just for code. we can eventually put a different one in the UI. See if Chad agrees if Die Hard is a Christmas movie or not. You know, maybe this is something I shouldn't be sharing due to the shame I should feel, but I don't think I've ever seen Die Hard. Brace for tomatoes. All right, there are two calls that get size here. I don't think this is really necessary. We could just get this in one spot. How do I cancel the sub? Go to IMDb, go to Die Hard and click the 1 button. That'll cancel your sub. Absolutely a Christmas movie. Well, I read the plot synopsis and apparently it takes place at Christmas time, right? So, yeah. But yes, I know that there's the trend of people watching it during Christmas time. Enchanter or like den size. So this is what we're gonna have here. Tile map size, I get size in pixels. You know what? It's not that bad to have the function for this. Yeah, I'd rather just have it being calculated. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, I convinced myself. So let's go get this over here. Done, and import. All right, back to create tavern. Tavern position sign, tavern sign. Oh, are you kidding me? I think it exists. I just don't think we made it public. Yeah, we didn't. So public, get private set. Cool. So add the tavern, rebake the navigation mesh. Excuse me. I don't know why this is there. Oh, for repositioning the sign. Init, clear ground. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Okay, so we call this from the sign. That's already done. We only play the sound from here because otherwise we could be loading from a save file and we don't want to play a bunch of sounds. Hating Copilot to loving it. What made that change, Styles? I'm very curious about this because I've seen some people over the last few months say things like, "Oh, I don't really think AI is that great," or "I don't trust it," and there are lots of reasons to have whatever stance people have. And one of the reasons that I think is especially valid is like I'm learning, so why would I use AI right now if it's just going to tell me the answers to stuff? And I think using it to help learn is possible, but then you can rely on it maybe too much for answers. The speed at which it can automate the mundane, yes, yeah, just even filling out common functions, it's just such a boon. Make public with accessors, then take a sip from coffee. Yeah, for things like that, I don't like having to review it when it's such a straightforward change and then it might get it wrong and then I might have to do something different, but I do end up using it a decent amount. Okay, so now we have the tavern. The tavern doesn't have an item bin, so we've got to go give it an item bin. We actually have to give it 3 item bins to the point where I didn't do this right yet. Hey, Legendary, welcome in, welcome in. Dell's getting burned. Got him, Alfie. Okay, so we're gonna need at least 3 item bins. We're gonna need a tile map. We're gonna need kind of a bunch of stuff. I guess let's go pull some things from the enchanter den. Hey, LA. Practice what you preach. I mean, I'm the one who shared that, right? Was it Thels who talked about that? I do think Thels should also be following it. Yeah, it was unknown who was talking about it. Hey, David. Love to use this rubber duck. Also as a more pointed Google search that I can then verify if the answer I get seems like the correct one. Yeah, I think there are a lot of nice uses that slot in, and it's not even just for coding. It's like we were coming up with item data at one point, and there are flavor text pieces for every single item. And if I just scroll down, you can see how many items are in the game. And we have placeholder stuff like this is a really cool void blade. This is a really cool wooden shield. This is not meant to be the final flavor text. And yes, a human can come up with this, but like, why bother doing all of them? So I did lean on AI for that. I like coming up with them. I just don't want to do it 600 times. So yeah, even tasks like that. Saw some report that using Copilot has introduced a lot more prod bugs. Still haven't tried it out yet. Interesting. Yeah, interesting. I wonder if people are using it for tests, if it's, I guess if it's introducing more, then that it's a net negative in terms of bugs at least. But yeah, introducing more tests might catch some bugs too. So good for dummy data. Good for even kind of final data though. I think it's pretty good at applying what you would have typically expected to just be human creativity. Okay, I want to do the bare minimum to set up the tavern. So let's get rid of the I never coded this. We need a building, and I'm not going to try to make the building look unique. So let's just go copy it from the guild. Where is the, oh, here it is. It's just called tile map layer. So this is the building, right? Yes, this is the building. Let's go copy paste that over to here. Again, not going to spend the time doing this. It just doesn't matter. We can always make this look different. We'll call this the building layer, I guess. And then we need an NPC. Can we instantiate an NPC or is it abstract? No, you can't make it abstract. All right, let's just put an NPC in there then. And I guess move you to there. We need a quest board though. We don't have an NPC for the town hall. Maybe let's just delete this for right now. Yeah, let's delete it for right now. So now we need a quest board. That's in the town hall. That's here, bulletin board. And there's an outline parent on hover on the bulletin board and an outline holder. And these are just set directly. Yeah, we're gonna need this here too. Is bulletin board its own class? It's not, or not its own scene. We should probably make it its own scene. Oh man, there's a lot of stuff. Thanks, Alfie. Good to see you. Thanks for dropping in. Hope you'll visit again sometime. As a test, I asked Copilot to generate me tests for a piece of code. Tests just weren't great at all, but it was great having it create all the mocks and patches. My consideration for the tavern. Ah, this is pretty good. Yes, yes. Can I have the rights to this building? Also, is this loss? I'm just looking at it now. No, not quite, but it sort of looks like it. All right. I think we want to export this to its own scene. What is the bulletin board used for exactly? Oh, it just has texture crop sprite. Oh, so this isn't used for anything necessarily. The town hall knows how to use the bulletin board? Bulletin board. No? It just gets the clickable area directly? Okay. Okay. Let's export it to its own scene. Scenes, town, bulletin board. What does the town hall use it for? I guess bulletins. And the tavern uses it for, I guess, also bulletins. Yeah. We'll call it a bulletin board then. It's perfect. Now there's an outline parent on hover. Where is this? This is on the town hall itself. But I think this operates on the bulletin board. Okay. Oh man, there's so much still to do here. So we want to give this a script that is not texture crop sprite 2D. We need it to be a bulletin board script that inherits from texture crop, whatever. All right, so detach. Where are we going to put this? Signpost, I guess wherever we have that one. Bulletin board. Okay, I don't need this. I need the clickable area. And we need an event. Oh, also this needs to inherit from texture crop sprite 2D. Okay, now what? The town hall. The town hall had a clickable area. Is not the case anymore. Yeah. Use Code Whisperer. One of them would rely too much on it and not review the code. Became evident during code reviews and caused a lot of needless friction. Also, I wonder, I mean, at some jobs, you'd probably expect people to, I guess, be more thorough. I don't know. Bulletin board. Did I type something wrong? Yeah, thank you, Mr. Trace. I appreciate that. Thankfully, I didn't mess up the file name. All right, so the clickable area is going to be gone from here. On-clicked is going to be over here. We need the action still. We need all the ready stuff that we have. Clickable area input event going to be removed from here. Maybe we should have made like a clickable parent function. Bullet inboard, an arrow inboard is what we're going to have in this game. On-clicked. Okay, so this is looking pretty good. So now what we can do is we can just get a reference to the bulletin board. Get that. And then on-clicked, invoke it for the whole town hall. What does this do? Toggles visibility to town perks. Yeah, sounds good. Cool, cool, cool. All right, so now this can be deleted. And now we can put that into the tavern. Tavern. Bulletin board. Easy peasy. Oh no. Oh no. Whoops. The clickable area extended up here. Oh no. Because it was only used for the town hall. Ugh. Okay, here's what we do. Editable children. And then make sure we keep this as a clickable area. It was a collision polygon. Or maybe we want that same thing over here and we just center the building in it. All right, so now editable children. We need to change this polygon. How do we do that? Can we just drag these nodes? Edit points. LMB move point. That didn't move the point. Ah, there we go. No, what happened? What happened? There we go. Okay, did I break this one? I am probably going to. I bet if I save this, it's going to just wipe out what I had there. No, it didn't. This is still bad because the bulletin board isn't centered. And if I move it, it's now going to change the collision. But let's keep it like that for now, because I just want to get this working. So when you click the bulletin board, it needs to do something. Let's close out of this for now. Tavern. Private bulletin board. In ready, let's get that. That needs to then be made unique. And when you click that, it's going to just print out, you clicked the bulletin board. Another impact on humans that training AI models causes. That sounds interesting. I'll write that down. Oh, I did this. There. All right, so the on-clicked item bin stuff, let's ignore that for now because we're going to have several item bins. And we need to make sure that they all work. So what do we have? We have a tavern. We have all that stuff looking good. We have on-clicked item bin. I guess we should have that. Yeah. All right, let's try running that. We need something to automatically create the tavern as well. Must be a delegate. What happened here? Using system? I wasn't importing that? Okay, good. Is there a tavern sign? How do they make this thing pop up? You need 3 items and you need uh to have beaten a boss. Ugh. I want to just create it by default. But I think we need to force you to have seen these items already. Seen items tracker.add. Yeah. Oh man. All right. Let's just make a private void debug force create tavern. So we need to have 3 items that we've seen. Let's go with a medium green potion and a hooded cloak. So that'll make it 3. And then we need to just create the tavern. Creating the tavern should also rebake the navigation mesh. It does. I feel like this should be done at the end. Yeah. Can you force show the sign? I could, but then I'd have to click it every time and Thels would get mad. Yeah, so force create tavern. What else am I missing? I think that's it. Okay, so all I want to do is test this. It should create the tavern and it should make it so that when I click the bulletin board, it prints something out. This is definitely more than one day of work that we've got ahead of us. This gap is because I didn't align the sign, but this is broken. This is thoroughly broken. Able to cast objects of Godot sprite 2D to bulletin board. Where? Tavern? Did it just autocomplete with the wrong thing? No, that's fine. That's fine as well. Line 19. All right. Color me confused because this isn't even a line of code getting hit here. This is just a curly brace. In ready on line 19. Trying to cast a sprite 2D. I don't understand that. It is a bulletin board. Oh, maybe I never gave it the script. Oh, yeah, I never did that. Okay. Whoops. Hey, Caleb. Yeah, new haircut indeed as of Tuesday. I don't think anyone commented on Wednesday. And yeah, Kevin was right. I forgot to attach the script. Looking good. Thanks. Thanks. All right, is it working now? No, still broken. Still broken, but in a different way. I think something went wrong. Oh, nothing hides the outline. But also, this is like, what's that doing there? That means this didn't get cropped correctly. Is that going on in the town hall as well? Yeah, it is. That's broken. Rather tired. Waking up early does not suit me. Why'd you have to get up early? Oh, clickable areas. Oh, darn it. It's no longer assigned. Node with shader bulletin board. Okay, so that's how we would fix this. I'm gonna have to do this everywhere. It did register that I clicked the bulletin board at least. So this one's still broken. This one should be fixed. Kind of, but now it's showing on both of these. That is bad. Missing a base ready in the board? Yes, you are correct for sure. Base dot ready. Yeah, I guess this wasn't needed before because we didn't override the script that we had. Have to get up at 5:30, so I'm ready for the 6 o'clock advent code. Oh, I see. Oh man. That's definitely rough. Maybe that's why your dad is higher on the leaderboard. Okay, so now this one looks good. This one is linked to it though. So we need to make something unique here. And I guess we could just do this in the individual scene. The bulletin board has a shader. The shader needs to be local to scene, I think. So we just set local to scene to be true. Does that work? Might not. You're currently ahead of him. Wow. Are you number 2 or are you number 1? Hey, nice. We did it. Okay, so now we don't have anything working on this one yet, and we need to get that working. There's something weird about this, though. The outline parent on hover is referring to a clickable area in a different scene, and this is referring to a different scene as well. So I think we need to move these to the other scene. Cut and paste, and then set all of these. Outline holder, clickable area, bulletin board. Save that, save that. And now the tavern should just work by default. All right, we're making good progress. So now you should be able to hover over this. Good. And clicking it should show you you clicked the bulletin board thing. Oh, it won't show you here because I did this in Godot. So I guess we had to do it over here. Go to the output. It's currently saying nothing. We click this. Yep, nice. And then this should still be highlighted differently. Yep. Neat. Okay, yeah. Brains in a jar is to complete the puzzles in 20 seconds flat. I wonder how good AI does if you just feed it the problem and train it on advent of code. Because at some point it's going to be hard to tell if actual humans are competing anymore, right? Especially because people treat this very seriously. All right, so the only other things I want to do here, I want to get rid of this gray area. Let's write everything down. Get rid of the gray area behind the tavern. Add 3 item bins. Make sure it's navigable. Get the item bins working. Move code from the shop. Doesn't seem to be any occurrence of that this year, at least. There are probably still problems with that, at least in the larger community. Maybe not in the work leaderboard. I have multiple things to do here. I should write them down. Yeah, and some of these are obvious. Like if you saw this gray area, you'd be like, okay, that's definitely wrong. We need to fix that. But still, I think it's good to have. Okay, so let's start with the item bins. The tavern needs 3 of them. We should probably instantiate them all into a node. Add child node, node 2D, item bins. We'll make this unique. All right, I am realizing now that that sign takes up so much space that I don't know where we should put these. And if we put them high up, then they're going to cover the path. Well, let's instantiate 3 and then figure it out. Item bin number 2, item bin number 3. There we go. Hey, Mr. Carnaggio. Is the keyboard to use more ergonomic? And will it make me a tech lead at Google? It will make you a tech lead at Google. Is it more ergonomic is a question I'd need to know your current keyboard to be able to answer. So for example, if you're already using a split keyboard, this is potentially not more ergonomic than that. But if you mean then like a regular QWERTY, just sort of like a candy bar shaped or looking block of keys, then yeah, it should hopefully be more ergonomic than that. If we just type in computer keyboard here. The way I look at using a keyboard like this, yeah, like if you just click this one, is your hands are pretty close together, which means that your shoulder position is also going to be a little bit different. And it doesn't have to be, but I think it's easier to have your hands farther apart. And then also you can tent each individual half however you want. So for example, here, it's going to be a little bit hard to see, I guess, but you can see me lifting this up. Some people might want like an extreme tenting angle like that. so that your hands are more like this than like this. So yeah, is it better for gaming too? No, I would not say this is better for gaming. I don't use this for gaming. Hey, Craster. The reason I don't use it for gaming, by the way, is because think of what you need to do in a game, depending on what you play. Maybe you have just WASD controls and maybe like a jump button or something, in which case, yeah, this is totally fine for gaming. But if you're using it for anything like you need to press like 1 through 5 and you need to, I don't know, every once in a while press like F or Q or something like that, you can set up a key map to have all those things. It's just probably easier for you to use a different keyboard for gaming. I assume Colmac is the reason you use it for gaming. No, that's not why. The reasons why are one, my key map has like 800 bytes left on it, so I have to be very careful how what I do. Two is that I would need another layer for gaming, a way to enter that layer, and a way to leave the layer. Three is that you usually still want to type normally when gaming. So that way of entering and leaving is something like, imagine you're whatever, moving around, jumping, blah, blah, blah. And then you type something like, hey, or what are you doing this weekend? Just talking to your friends or something. To type that means to go back to your normal typing layers and stuff. And then what if you want to intersperse those things? It's just way easier to use a regular keyboard for gaming, I think. Yeah, if you want to see more about this, Mr. Carnaggio, take a look at the keyboard video. Do you do intense PC gaming? I have a game night once a week, and we recently just finished Ember Nights, and now we're playing the finals. The finals is a little bit more intense, I guess. And it's typical FPS stuff. So moving, jumping, sprinting, changing weapons. Like there are enough keys there. And then the typing isn't something I do in the finals because I'm on voice chat with people, but in between matches, I'll go and like check my email or something. So anyway, it's not always just gaming specific stuff. It's like you're using your computer for other things too, and it's just nice to have a regular keyboard for that. The most ergonomic keyboard. Did you like custom make your dactyl? Because I heard that some people mold it to their hands, and that's always what spooked me from making a dactyl. All right, so I don't know how we're going to lay these things out. Let's just kind of toy around with some stuff. So if we laid them out side by side, which I think is how I would want to do this, it would look something like this. We need more ground here. And we need to line them up, of course. I just hastily did this. So this would work. Is that blank space? How is this not looking the same on both of these? Oh, because I need to shift to this one more pixel to this side. Okay. Yeah, so this is what it would look like side by side. Your characters would have to come down to each one of these individual item bins, which means the whole thing should probably be accessible from the path. And we have this whole strip of path right here. So we could put the tavern here, have the item bins be on the right side. Just ordered a kit, I see. Yeah, sounds like you lucked out a little bit, but that's good. Never heard of Ember Knights. It was pretty good. I think I had some gripes with the game, and if you've never heard of it, then some of these I'll have to give you some context for. Hang on one second. What is this? No reference exception. Oh, because we don't have the shop thing anymore. Copy error. Where is this? Shop.get filled item displays. What? No reference exception. I don't have an item bin in here anymore. What? What is going on? Specific item line 80. Maybe the shop doesn't exist? That's bizarre. All right, I'll have to debug this. Anyway, Ember Knights. imagine your typical like a talent tree or something like that. The way the Ember Knights did it is each row of talents had three choices, like A, B, and C, and there were, I don't know, 10 or something rows. The problem is that in order to see what these two skills were, you needed to unlock the one before it. So you need to lock on A to see B and C. You need to unlock B to see C. And you could respecialize at no cost. The problem is respecializing made all the tree choices mystery options again. So you'd have to like invest all of your points again to get down to whatever this is maybe, and then you might have invested them wrong, and there was no way to just take out 1 point. It was like the worst UI for respecing in a game that expected you to respec that I've probably seen. It just did so many things wrong. It was silly to have like a wiki page open while trying to just change a skill point around basically. Anyway, that was frustrating. And then the other thing which was a little bit frustrating was in multiplayer games, I was playing with 3 people total, and it goes up to 4, but I was playing with 2 other people, and everyone's got like crazy effects by the end of the game. So you're causing like meteors to fall from the sky and creating like little shadow things on the ground, and it's very hard to tell what is friendly and what is a foe. And there's no way to just be like turn down the effects of my cohorts there. So yeah, otherwise a pretty fun game. I think it was worth it. When you're in time zone, this is the first time I call you online in ages. Last time I saw you, you still had the signature Microsoft Ergo keyboard. Wow, hey tall pants. I hope the move went well. Yeah, the last message I have from you in chat was on August 12th, 2020. I've been back for just a little over a year, so you didn't really miss too much, I think. How long does something like that take to use to? I feel like it'd be abnormal for me to use properly. I think tenting on its own is not too crazy. I think it's the keyboard itself that makes it a little bit crazier. And for that, I'd say it's usually about a week or two for English and usually like a month or two for coding. So hard to tell what's what, like Nuclear Throne or Enter the Gungeon. Those are at least single player games though, right? I think Enter the Gungeon is. Nuclear Throne definitely is. And those I feel like it's a little bit better. I think a game that did this really well is Ikaruga. All of the enemies' bullets were either like a bluish white or a reddish black, and they stood out pretty much no matter what. This game did this wonderfully. But yeah, a lot of roguelike games have the concept of some sort of damage thing being off screen, and they need to show you little like radar bubbles and stuff, or like there's a bullet coming at you from half a screen away and you're not looking there and you need some way of being able to see it still. Yeah. Yeah, just a soup of colored pixels. Yeah, I will say I think Nuclear Throne did it pretty well. I remember liking that game and thinking it was like tough but fair. Hey, Gamble Soup. All right, so let's go debug this and find out what's going wrong here. Enter the Gungeon was pretty good about it. I played it so long ago that I don't remember the experience too much. You know, I like roguelikes, roguelites, whatever, but I think there are a lot of concepts that need to exist in these games that are so similar to other ones that it's like you need to trust that the game did them well enough for you to want to invest in it. So there are things like the randomization. I mean, that's pretty core to this. There's something like building progress after death. That's also pretty core to it. Then there are other things though, like with more options, you need some sort of option pruning or reselection. And then there's like the run length itself. Do you like farm low areas to get the skills, or can you skip it? The skills or stats or items or whatever you get, can you skip it? Anyway, there's a whole bunch of that stuff where I just feel like I don't want to just jump from game to game to game here. I think it's the same thing with the Survivor style games. It's like, what would you expect out of this? You'd expect there to be just tons of chaos on the screen at some point. You expect there to be some movement, some amount of like luck with synergy and builds, and some choice afterward with picking how your new runs are going to change. And since they're mostly automated games, if runs take even 20 minutes and they expected you to have some like long ramp up curve, then you're playing a lot of the game without that power and without that choice. As you winding down after your first game going to Google, what made you decide to leave the big G? Yeah, for that, check out what Stockton linked in. That video explains everything, and I tried to be as honest as possible in there. I spent most of my day messing around in Godot on a new project instead of working on a real project. But you probably had a lot of fun, right? So what caused this to break? Because it's not breaking right now. Somehow the tavern is, no, the tavern isn't causing this. What? I don't understand. I don't know why this broke all of a sudden. Strange. This function isn't even being called. Maybe I need to generate an item. Does that cause this to get hit? It should. It doesn't? What? What am I doing? Seek. Oh, it's got to be when a customer wants a specific item. Okay, there it goes. Now it was hit. So now shop is null. Shop is not null. Is this null? Shop component? No. Is this null? No. What? We got into this case somehow, and I don't know how. All right, let's just let this run. Is it eventually gonna break? No. Maybe we add a bunch of customers? Still no. Did you remove some component from the ECS last stream? Something like that? I don't remember. And it looked like this happened by me just doing nothing. Which maybe it happens again that way. If I just increase the game speed and maybe put in some more customers. Yeah, it's happening. Okay, cool. So now we got to find out why that's happening. Let's put a breakpoint there. Is the shop null? Yes, it is. Okay. So there's an item category here, armor, and we don't have, oh my God, that's why. Oh, right, of course. Okay, I know what's happening. We said that we got hooded cloaks, but we didn't actually get hooded cloaks. So now customers are wanting that, but they can't want that. Whew. Yeah, this is only okay. I guess it's only okay to grant items for shops or to mark items as seen for shops that you already have. So this can't be a medium green potion. It needs to be some other kind of potion. Let's just have it be a big life potion. There we go. Or yeah, I could force build the armor shop. That would work too. All right, so now we're not going to run into that problem. That's good. But how do we want to do this? We could also arrange these boards in different spots. I feel like putting them next to each other, side by side, is good, not on top of each other. Because the path is here, so if we move the whole thing to the left, then it means that they would just need to walk barely off the path to do this thing. However, I also think that the signs shouldn't be something that the characters are walking under. What we should probably do is put them beneath the chest. There you go. Happy Friday. Yeah. Alternatively, we collect up all the signs over here or something like that. Or just make one big one that shows all of the progress that you need. Which is what Kevin was proposing originally. Just have one chest. Why did I want multiple? I think it was so that you could drag an item to... Starting to question that decision. Takes so much space, doesn't it? It does, yeah. So I think maybe what we'll do then is we'll consolidate this down to one chest. We'll put it on the left side of the tavern. Yeah, and then we'll figure out what to do about the item board. Just use one item bin. Consolidate the quest progress into one board. Okay, cool. So just delete these things. Delete, delete. Move that up here. Delete this. Get one item bin. We're going to have to change a lot of code for this. A lot of code. Needs to be able to accept a dynamic set of categories. of items, e.g. just a potion, or all 3 types, or just weapon plus armor. All right. I also said I wanted this on the other side. So we need to move this. Oh, I mean, you could just move it, I guess, but we should copy paste. Okay. Yeah, fine. I'm just annoyed. Whoa, what? What am I doing? There. Okay, so put this over on the other side. Over here, I guess. And then delete that. Then move the collision polygon as well. So stupid. I probably shouldn't be spending the time doing this until we know for sure that this is what we want. With that said, I'm already dragging these little diamonds here, so it's happening. There, now we need to move the bulletin board into this. How stupid of me. The bulletin board is what's controlling these polygons. So we instead need to move this here and then move the whole bulletin board. Hey, that actually worked. That's not bad. All right, then the item bin comes back. It goes over to here. We probably want the quest progress to be beneath it. And this is going to be a much larger board. I don't know if I like this. Maybe I should go to the side. Yeah, maybe I should go to the side. Or maybe it should be attached to the tavern. It could be on top of the building. The problem with putting it on top of the building is going to be right up against the path, and I don't want the sign to cover the path. Mountains this morning look amazing. Should check them out if you haven't, if you're in the Pacific Northwest. I am, although I don't have a view from like outside the window to see the mountains. There are a lot of tall trees. And I'll probably be inside for almost all the daylight hours today. But yeah, every once in a while, I'll just be driving somewhere in this area and I'm like, goodness, it is gorgeous. I meant covering it. Oh, and like on top of the roof. I guess we could just do this, editable children, and then just move the quest progress. Oh, but the thing is, this board is going to be very large because it's going to expand to show 3 items on it. You know what? Let's just put it here for now. Let's get the functionality working, and then we can figure out the positions of things later. I think that's probably a good thing. All right, now make sure it's navigable. That comes from modifying the environment. So we have these nav sections here. We're going to have to break this. Navigation. Erase. That is not how you erase things. There. We should probably draw this like here. There. Posted off topic on Discord. Yeah, that's a problem. You can never really photograph this all that well. I'll show this picture because you already posted in Discord. Wow. Okay, never mind. That's really good. Looks like it's in your backyard. Yeah, that's a really nice shot. Okay, so navigable is done. Get rid of the gray area behind the tavern. We can do that really fast. We need to, I don't see the town open. We just need to move this sign up 16 pixels, I think. Or 8 pixels, maybe. Just going to do a -8 here. Let's see if that fixed it. Did it work? Yeah, that worked. Yeah, this is hovering in the tree right now, but I mean, we can fix that. Yeah, so this looks decent. Yeah, this looks decent for now. All right, so what have we done? Make it its own scene with its own quest progress. Maybe it's 0, 0. Make sure I filled out drop off item and will accept item. I haven't done that yet. Probably need to resurrect a lot of this code. What is this code? The shop stuff that we had? Yeah. Is the board going to grow horizontally, or will you put each one on its own line? I was thinking each one on its own line. So it would grow vertically. And we could just have this space be dedicated to that. Camera freeze, thank you. I always forget how this gets fixed. And for normal, I do this, this, this. And then plug it in again. Thanks for letting me know. Okay. Yeah, I was thinking of having it grow vertically. Because we only need to render 3 items here. Alternatively, we could show, well, no, I think just, yeah, we'll throw 3 items into this. May want to throw a grid container in there. Yeah. Yeah. I'll have to test that out. Show all of the quest progress in a single panel. Maybe make a grid container. So we can't do the make sure I filled out drop off item and will accept item. This is inside of the item bin, right? Yeah. Yeah, we can't do this yet. I don't think we can use a rich text label because we need different filters for these 2 things. So we probably need it to be a grid. I think a grid will be fine. Okay. So we've only got another maybe 30 minutes to work on this. We don't have any quest stuff yet, though. What is inside quest right now? Pretty much nothing. Yeah, we need to know which items you need and which items you have already gotten. And we need a way of generating this. So I think that's what I want to do next. Oh, man. Feels good to stretch. So let's check in what we've done. Yeah, this stuff is annoying. Should probably write this in there. Added the tavern building. Modified the environment so that to remove unwalkable, or I guess just to move walkable boundaries. What else do we do here? Put the bulletin board in its own scene. Put the bulletin board in its own scene since 2 buildings use it. What else? What else? What else? Put an item bin inside the tavern. But it's not functional yet. What is this scene? Tavern, that's fine. Good. Town scene. Just got a UID change. Bulletin board. Yep, bulletin board looks fine. Got rid of this stuff from the shop. And the tavern is looking pretty shoddy right now. I think that's okay. This is fine. This is fine. This is fine. We're going to have to remove the call to this eventually. Remove the call to that. Yep. 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 Yeah, looks good. Cool. add an item bin to the tavern. This isn't functional yet, and there's some debug code in here. There's a yeah, there's a lot left to do for it'll be in a stable state. Okay, so I think what we need to do is probably generate quest objectives. It's hard to say because, as I mentioned, we've got about 30 minutes. Then I want to take a break. Then I want to switch to mentoring, and then I probably want to eat lunch. So 30 minutes of coding, and then 2 hours from now, we'll start this again. So it's like, what can we do in 30 minutes? And it's very hard to come up with what that could be. Because I think no matter what, we're going to get cut off. That's okay. But yeah, it's hard to plan. I don't think we can do that yet. This is pretty much done. Something a quest should be a dialogue that says what's needed. It has an accept button or a maybe later button. Okay, we can do that, I guess. How do you know what you're accepting when you accept a quest? It could tell you what the items are that you need. Like, it could say something like a quest is posted on the board. Someone needs 4 daggers, 5 potions, and 3 bows. The reward is... Wait, how'd we say there was a reward? What was the reason for that? Design. I think it was magic. It's not very compelling. Having it be equipment doesn't make sense. It's just magic. Ugh. The reward is, I guess we could just say like a small magic orb. And it could say in parentheses plus 10 health, plus 1 power. There's a lot of text. Yeah. See, the thing is, you don't get to pick the quest, so knowing what this is doesn't matter. It's always going to be the same. Well, not always going to be the same. Sorry. What I mean is, whatever's offered once is what's going to be offered until you finally accept it. So do we even need to say that? Quest is posted on the board. Someone wants a set of items and is willing to offer a small magic orb. Yeah. Something like this. Except maybe later. Maybe even this is unnecessary. Let me just say accept quest. If you collect the items that they want. Yeah. Yeah. I think this is good enough. For people who are playing this game for the first time, that they'll probably be like, what items do they want? And then you'll click accept and you'll immediately see this pop up with whatever items they want. And then there can be a tooltip system or something that explains here's where you go get these, or here's how you do this, or whatever the NPC can tell you. So if we're not going to need to know what items before the quest, then we can work on the dialogue first. Where is that? Here it is. There. Yeah, there. So clicking the bulletin board should pop that up. And there's always a quest available. Yeah, it's a start, at least. It's a start. Okay, clicked the bulletin board right here. So this is going to need to spawn a quest if you're not already on one, which means that the tavern should keep track of which quest you're on. And we have a quest right now. So yeah, let's make that public quest. Actually, no, let's not make that public until we actually need to make it public. Public quest. This could be null. It actually starts as null. We need to import this. So when you click this, let's just have it be on clicked bulletin board. Good. So if you're on a quest, then should the bulletin board say anything? Maybe you could say something like you're already on a quest. So quest equals null to do show a dialogue about accepting a quest. Delete all that stuff. Otherwise, to do show a dialogue saying that you're on a quest and that you can abandon. No, wait, no. We didn't even say you could abandon it. You can't abandon it because this game isn't for babies. Yeah. So show a dialogue saying that you're on a quest and that you have to collect the items, the desired items, and maybe say what the reward is or how to collect those items. Time to use the dialogue system. So there's dialogue data. Uh-oh, where's that? Am I on the wrong? Oh, I gotta merge in the branch. Oh, darn it. Okay, fine. Let's go stash. Git pull origin main rebase. Should be fine. Drat. Drat. Oh, right, all of this. Oh, God. Oh, why did I think of this? Darn it. Oh, all right. If only I had a super cool rebasing tool. If only. If only there were never any conflicts. All code worked in harmony. All right. So what do we have here? Current change. Current change. I don't have. I don't have the new quest indicator, right? Hang on a second. What file is this? Shopkeep. I don't have anything in here. I know that we're rebasing. I should probably just be merging instead. It's probably easier. All right, get rebase abort. And let's do a no rebase. There. There's still going to be a conflict, but the conflict should be easier to reconcile, I think. I think we're just deleting all of this. Hey, Pressel. Happy finish Independence Day. Started doing your Christmas shopping? I haven't. My wife said that she wanted us each to make like I guess like a wish list almost of what gifts we want. And I am not a gift person. If anyone ever meets me in real life, do not give me a gift. I do not like gifts. So I was racking my brain and eventually I was just like, look, I could try to come up with stuff, but like I don't want anything, not a gift at least. I'm like I'd rather either spend time or I don't know, like help me out with something. So she's like, okay, I'll just give you the gift list and you can buy something for me. I'm like, yep, that's totally fine. So I haven't gotten the list yet. Can't stand gifts unless it's straight money. I feel like a lot of times if I want to buy something, I'll just buy it. So a gift for me is something that someone thinks that I might want, and then there's like a mixture of sort of guilt and obligation and gratitude as well. But typically, I feel like, oh, now I have to use that thing. You have to fight with your mom every year. Yeah, yeah. I think gift giving sort of culture is always a little bit tough. And we went to someone's place one time and we brought them a gift and they said something like, "Look, I'll accept this because you didn't know, but please don't bring us gifts again." And I'm like, "That's how you do it. Accept it the first time. You're very clear about it. You're not mean. Like, we got to do that." All right, so if we were to just delete all of this, we would get rid of everything that was in the dialogue settings that we have. Yeah, I think I am going to just take my current change. Why can't I? There we go. Commit. Okay. Um, Something's probably not using dialogue data at all now. Shopkeep welcome message. Yeah, none of this is going to be used anywhere, right? Yeah, nothing's going to be used anywhere. So I'm going to need to get this working for the tavern. Buy something you actually know a person needs or wants is very nice. Yeah, you know what? If I'm buying gifts for other people, I find that consumable gifts are the best. I found these chocolate covered, actually not even chocolate covered, chocolate and peanut butter uh, covered potato chips. That was a pretty good gift idea. And then I casually asked my friends, "Hey, do you like Reese's peanut butter cups?" And when they said yes, I'm like, "This is a pretty safe bet." And yeah, they enjoyed those. They're super expensive to ship though, because they can melt, so they had to be in some like special packaging or something. Sounds so strange. Oh man, don't knock it till you tried it. They're really good. Have you had chocolate covered potato chips before? Because I don't think these are common. It's exactly what it sounds like, and they're super easy to do, obviously, because you just melt chocolate and then dip the potato chips in them. I think covering them with peanut butter is a little bit harder because it's not just peanut butter. There's probably some other things in there, like probably more sugar or something. But yeah, they're easy to do. They're great. Doing Secret Santa in the last 5 years has evolved into people just posting what they want, someone else buying it for them. Like, what's up with that? Honestly, though, functionally, that's much better than just a secret gift, which you might not like or might not use. And a small fraction of consumables. I mean, everything in moderation, right? Okay, so what we used to have is, well, and we still have this over here, so I can go take a look. The shopkeep had a dialogue ID over here, I think. Yeah, dialogue option ID, accept quest. Okay, so we still want this, but we want it in the, well, I'll put it in the tavern for now, but it really should be in the NPC. No, it shouldn't be. This is coming from the bulletin board. All right, so it's gonna be in the tavern. Shopkeep quest prompt, shopkeep welcome message. So we're gonna make a tavern board new quest. And it's gonna contain that text that I had written over here. Yeah. Moderately eat half a chip, the part covered in chocolate. Called the Scuba Team. Got 7 hand-sized crochet scuba divers done from Etsy. Very cute. That's really thoughtful and nice. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Title shopkeep. Title quest, I guess. I'm not actually sure. Character portrait. Oh, I don't know what we should do for this. We can just set this to null, I'm pretty sure. I saw some code about that. Yeah, we could set this to null. But maybe we do want to show a board or something there. Is dismissible is definitely true. So accept quest. And there'd be a dismiss button, I guess. Yeah. Then maybe we delete these things. Okay, so now we got to go use this. So how do we do this? Display greeting dialog box. Let's do this one. Because this would have to use, have to listen to, wait, what? Oh, I see. We set the text label. And that is presumably a rich text label. Yeah. Not that we need to show the image anymore. Yeah, I don't actually need this. Handle dialog option pressed, handle dismissed. Okay, I think some of these are going to be helpful. I'm just going to copy paste this in. And we're going to figure out what we need here. Yeah, so display greeting dialog box. And then handle this stuff. So this is what's going to happen from, where'd that to do item go? Oh no, I didn't stash pop. Oh no. How do we fix this? Because we can't stash pop now, right? We'd have to like merge it. No changes added. Stash entry is kept again. Is there a way to like pop and just merge this? Oh, whatever. It doesn't matter. Just copy all dialog data or get rid of whatever I changed in Tavern. It's just this one thing. Yeah, we'll just revert this and then pop. Why does it think we still have changes to Tavern? Oh, because of this? Wait, no, what? Did it work? I don't understand what happened. There's no star here anymore. I think it did work. I'm confused. Yeah, I think it did work. Oh, I lost my I lost what I wanted here. All right. Mega Minx? What is it? Oh, I see. Okay. I think we're doing well. I'd like to at least get this dialogue to show up. Yeah. I want to take all of this stuff here again. Okay, what is in the tavern? So this is gonna do display greeting dialog box. So we keep track of that a dialog is open. For what reason? I don't actually know. What was this used for before? Is dialog box open? Is dialog box open here? What did we use this for? Kind of nothing. I don't think this existed for any reason. Maybe originally it did. Oh, on click. If it's not open, do something. Okay, so if you clicked it when they were already open, I see. Actually, it's fine if it just overwrites the existing dialogue. Yeah, just so you don't open it again. Yeah, yeah. We could probably have like a is it open with the current dialogue. I'm gonna ignore this for now. Yeah. Actually, you know what? Let's keep it for now. How about this? Bool private bool is dialog box open. Okay, and then just replace all of these with that. All right, so what does this do? Dialog data, we're gonna need that. Needs to set dialog request equals false. This would be setting it to true here. and then set dialog to the data. So the data is going to be dialog data.quest. We're going to delete all of this. And then if the dialog does not exist in current, oh. Yeah, you can handle it, not do anything if the data in the current dialog is the same as the new one. Yeah, I think that would be good. I'll just write that down as an idea for right now. Consider changing the dialogger so that it doesn't show a dialog if it's the same one that's already showing. That way the user of the dialog doesn't need to track something like this itself. All right, so option pressed and dismissed. I guess this is part of what could cause a problem if we were to just spawn multiple dialogues, is we just keep subscribing to things and we never delete them. This I don't think we need. Wait, what was this one? Set up for next quest. This is just to change the text in here. I don't think we need to do that. Oh, wait, yes, we will. Oh, man. We need to modify the... Oh, we need to modify the reward. Modify dialog box.text label.text to change what the reward is dynamically. I'm not going to do that for right now, though. Handle dialog option pressed. If the option is accept, then play the sound that you've accepted a quest. Do we have on accepted quest? No, we don't. Okay, let's go get on accepted quest. Here. And something used to listen to this. I don't know what, and I don't know if we're going to need to do that at all. Because we probably deleted this, didn't we? Yes, we did. Okay, let's go look at that now. What were you for? Accepted quest right here. Accepted quest. What did you do? Just made a quest and called on quest accepted and then open the item bin? Okay, well, the opening the item bin thing is pretty important, so let's write that down. To do open the item bin. It's just item with item bin dot open chest. All right, and then what was on quest accepted for? This update quest button. No, yeah, I don't care about that. Yeah, I don't care about this at all. All right, then delete it. Hey, Strong. How goes it? Oh, actually, you just said lurk, so never mind. Don't answer that. Don't break your lurking. Okay, I probably messed something up, but let's try this. Just working? Yeah. Sounds good. Fridays feel a lot easier to keep motivation for, I guess, knowing that there's a weekend ahead. Oh, we have plans tonight. We have plans tomorrow. It's been a busy like month and a half, I feel. Town.play sound. This is lowercase. All right. Having fun going through schematics on my new test fixture design from supplier. 15th time. 1 year in and we're close. Are you iterating on a design? Is that what's happening? Why C#? Why not GDScript? I have a why not GDScript command. Take a look at that. And hey, Zachariah. Hey, Remy. Remy, I've not forgotten about mentoring. I'm trying to finish this up pretty quickly. All right, cool. So this is quest. Someone is offering a small magic orb if you collect the items that they want. If I click dismiss, Wait, if I click anything, it doesn't matter what I do because I never did anything here. Oh, wait, it should have played a sound. Yeah, so we need to turn on to, oh, that's a problem. Dialogger, need to fix an issue with it showing on top of the in-game menu. All right, so when I click this button now, neat, it worked. It even had a fanfare to show that it worked. Ever thought about making an AI bot to detect certain questions and make an AI answer it for you with the right command? I have, yeah. But the reason I didn't do that is because I think even the small amount of human interaction of me typing the command name in chat is nicer than just having something auto answered. Because imagine if Zachariah asked why C sharp and my bot just immediately shared a link saying, hey, Adam gets asked this question a lot. Here's the answer to it. I would just ignore the message, right? And I feel like that's less personal. Although I also still kind of feel like it's impersonal. Like people do ask questions and I'm like, hey, I do answer this a lot. Here's a command. I feel like those people end up leaving sooner than people who just seek out the knowledge themselves. Design right automated test software for production lines or updating old test design to newer equipment. Current system has outdated equipment. We can't buy new design. I see. Well, good luck. Good luck. Hope it goes well. Hope you don't have a 17th time and a 19th time. All right, cool. Yeah, I mean, this is working. Okay, so I think this is a good break point because my break will probably take a few minutes. Then we got to set up for mentoring and then have the mentoring session. Yeah. So I'll just write where I left off. Got the accept quest dialog to show. There's no quest to accept though. So I should probably generate that information next. Yeah. Also, did something get laid out differently over here? Should I be moving this? I don't know. Hey JWL, how goes the new game and everything else? It's going well. I always want to check when was someone last in. You were last here 3.5 years ago. Oh man, well, welcome back. Yeah, I've been back for a little over a year now. And here are some commands of interest and that. So that'll fill you in on everything. I'm just about to take a break and then we're going to switch into mentoring. So the next like hour and a half is going to be a little strange. Factory move is taking my free time. Would have been done months ago. Oh man. Yeah. All right, but yeah, welcome back, JWL. I will be back in just a little bit. Is it jump time? It's jump time. Okay, something weird is going. I gotta fix this. Is it? No, no. We know that that worked. I was about to test voice commands again, but I did that beforehand. It was the I'm back that didn't work. Close the game. If that works, then yeah. So I think I know what's going on here. I think the dummy mic in OBS isn't using the right source. Back didn't seem to work. The others did. Okay, we're gonna set up for mentoring. Hey TJ, how's it going? Saw you in Kipoka stream yesterday. Yeah, long time no mentor indeed. I think the last one was Kyle's final session, which was November 4th. It's been a month. Yeah, so we have a session today. I'm gonna prep for that. And then we have a session in a week and a half, 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, 2.5 weeks. All right, click studio mode so I can set up the scene. Yeah. Yeah, this is super boring, just so you know, the setting up part. There's not much to do. It's not I can't make this any more interesting, really. So, sorry. I can still chat for now. This is all mechanical stuff. And I can automate some of this. I just haven't yet. I'm probably going to change how mentoring works a bit for next year. I've had 3 mentees now for pretty much a year, and one of them finally finished. The other one is going to finish on December 23rd, and this might be Remy's last session, and it might be the second to last one. I'm not sure. Okay, so there's that. OBS, Chrome for Google Docs. Yeah, let's set that up. Something's wrong with this. There we go. Where's the Remy mentoring doc? Here it is. Okay, cool. So I want to write down all my notes. Close this, close this. Open up a new one of these. Can this thing never pop up? I don't ever want it to organize my tabs. Man. Kid stream was fantastic. Yeah, I got to catch some of it. I was trying to do work and I had to drop out of it for a bit. Left half of right monitor, Discord, yeah. Okay, read the document. Should I even change the today command? I guess so. All right, then let's get the old stream title and the old today command. Oh, I gotta change a bunch of stuff. I don't like doing this stuff. Mentoring, Remy, where do I have this yet? I believe this is session number 8. All right, now we got to remove Godot, C#, game development. Sure love doing that. So I got to add those in again later. And the today command. Okay, so today's Friday. I'm mentoring Remy. This is their 8th session together. And then I think we just need to read this document. Oh, stop streaming to Steam. That's pretty important. Stop. There. Steam stream has been stopped. And yeah, we're pretty good. All right, so I'm going to read through this and I'm going to write my notes down here. So session 7, was this a shorter session than normal? Yeah, it was like 46 minutes. Looked at AZ 104, started it, did like 30 hours of it. Started doing the trainings on the sofa. Feels like something you should be doing something else half the time. Still learning. You think the stuff you have been learning is valuable? It is. This is the final training. Doesn't have to finish the second one this year. That'll be more programming related. This will be more work related. Okay. Finish it this week or next week. Motivation repeatable. Okay. Plan a meeting with the manager. Remy said he wants to learn how to say no to people, how to manage his own time and everyone's expectations, something they can discuss during the training. Company hired another company to help with these trainings. It'll be a one-on-one with the trainer. Yeah, I think that's pretty interesting. Did that third-party company that was going to help with management expectations do their work yet? Oh, 13th through 15th of November. So yeah, I should have started. Okay, no one knows what the management position will look like. Is there more clarity on the management position? Would it change your plans if you found out there was never going to be a position? Probably not. Likes the work. Thinks there'll be team leads in the new world. Maybe I'll try for that. Team lead versus manager. Doesn't know. Happens every so often. How do you feel about this? Not too stressed or worried. Oh yeah. So did you have a one-on-one with who is this person? The new manager? Signal to her what your intentions were. Where is this? I think I didn't write a particular note about this. With the new manager? You signal intentions to her about wanting to become a manager? Oh, the big manager. Yeah. Big manager. That's where. Okay, cool. Tenant. Kind of am forgetting about this. Don't think the tenant system works. Yeah, I guess we should talk about this tenant system. You'd concluded that it didn't work, and we talked about giving it another shot. Did you try that out? Stick to the reminders. Yeah, whoops. Said you would stick to the reminders. Big boss, boss baby. Saying no more than my manager and management training. Still saying yes to all things in his personal life. Going climbing, joining for plans. Felt exhausted as a result. Still feel exhausted in your personal life. Not saying no to more things. He does enjoy it. No external pressure, it's from himself. Yeah, so I asked in the last session if you wanted to change that, and you said you didn't know the answer. Have you had time to think? All right, more creative writing, doom scrolling 1, energy's through the roof again, that's pretty good. Been more productive. Okay, yeah, that's pretty much it. Called one of our VPs boss baby to their face. All right, so I think we're in good shape. This is set to 125. Yeah, I think we're all set. I don't think there's anything else here that needs to be done. Remy, are you free now? Let me see. Because if so, we could start this now. Don't think I can leave Salesforce. ServiceNow's offer was 35% less. The stock just pumped. I mean, I think this is always going to be the case. Like I said, I think you're always going to forego money by leaving. And the question is, would you be happier? Do you need the money? Thought it was funny. Okay, yeah, that's a good reaction then. Okay, yeah, Remy is free. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the call. Let me know if audio levels are not okay because I'm otherwise not going to be reading chat. Let me switch to this so I don't mess this up. All right, and video call pop out. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Better. I've had a stomach flu for 3 days, so I'm recovering from that.
Yeah. What did you say for 3 days? I didn't hear that part.
A stomach flu.
Stomach flu. Okay.
Yeah. So I've been real bad for the last 2 days, but it's getting better today. At least everything staying inside what should be staying inside, so that's nice.
Oh no. Stomach flu for 3 days. Yeah, but you said you had gotten some news and fill me in again. It was that someone became your lead or your boss or what happened exactly?
Yeah, someone became my lead, team lead. Uh, do you want to dive right into this right away, or
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Unless you had
okay?
something else you wanted to talk about first. Yeah. Whatever you want to do is fine.
No, no. Normally you do like little like, hey, chat, can everybody hear me? Can everybody hear Remy?
They said audio sounds good, so I think that's yeah, we'll just move
All right.
forward with that. Yeah.
All right, just want to make sure. Uh, so yeah, thanks for fixing that typo for me. I saw what you did there.
Very important.
Very, very. So yeah, let's first take a step back to like the entire reorganization we've been having with ICT.
Hmm.
So uh, we got a new ICT director. She basically said we're going to overhaul the entire ICT infrastructure. There's going to be new teams. There's going to be some merging with other teams. There's going to be splitting of other teams, et cetera, et cetera. So that's happened 2 months ago now, and basically we're still steerless in the water.
Hmm.
Nobody knows what's going on, what we'll be doing, and it's all just being basically a black box. And if you ask anyone about like, well, what is our new team supposed to do, they're pretty much, yeah, we don't really know yet, but we'll see. Which has been quite a frustrating experience, and I have also in my one-on-one talk with the new IT director conveyed to her that this has been ongoing frustration for not just me, but pretty much everyone I talk to. Where yeah, we just left in dark. Like, hey, we had this, in my opinion, really well functioning team. We got some new people added to this team, and we got a new name, and we got a new team lead. But nobody really knows what we should be doing now. So we're just working as usual with some extra people doing their own stuff. But it's like really unclear. Like, hey, in the future we'll still be, doing the same jobs we've been doing. We'll be supporting the same people internally and whatnot. Just a lot of confusion and frustration around that.
Hmm.
And then on also the way it is communicated, at least in my experience, is really bad. Like, hey, we just get like an email and it's like, okay, everything's gonna change. There's like no nuance. There's like no one like comes to the floor and talk about it or something. So it feels like really black and white. Which to me, at least personally, it's not the way things, big change like that should be communicated. I feel like there should be a personal aspect in that that I
Yeah.
feel like is missing. But that could just be me. And I've also conveyed this talk to this with the new IT director. I'm like, hey, if you're making big announcements like this, you might want to consider, doing it in a more personal way so people can ask questions. Stuff like, hey, here's an email. Everything's gonna change and deal with it.
Hmm.
Then on Monday we got an email of like, hey, this is your new team lead. And I personally don't really like this person a lot. And not even personally, just like the way he works. All my past working experience with him have been pretty negative. Hearing from the team he used to lead before this, which was a non-IT team, I've also heard not great things by the
Yeah.
way he manages. In his entire week, he's been our manager. We haven't seen him once. Like he's not even dropped an email. He hasn't like planned any meetings. Like, hey, let's catch up what you're doing, what your responsibilities are, whatnot. And I feel like those are really are things you should be doing. In your
Yeah.
first week of being a new team lead. Get in touch with your team. We do daily stand up now. We started that this week as well. Like he doesn't attend those, and I don't know. It just gives me like bad management vibes, basically. Uh, yeah, I'm not sure how to deal with that as of yet because like he's not done anything for us yet, so I can't really gauge how he really is as a manager. I've just got like second-hand experience and dealing with him on a non-management basis, which has been pretty bad. But
Yeah.
yeah, the entire vibe within the team has been pretty negative since we got the news drop like, hey, this is going to be your new team lead.
Well, okay, so let's start with the director. You talked to the IT director, you communicated these things. What was her response to your concerns?
Uh, well, she acknowledged there's been like a lot of confusion and being in the dark, and she said, yeah, like but this is how we're doing things. Like we're not going to wait any longer with communicating things. We're just going to do it right now. And she feels like this is the right way to do it and communicate things. Uh, so yeah, that was basically her response.
So the communication, if I can just make sure I'm understanding correctly here, excuse me, you felt that it was slightly impersonal and that they just sent an email, and this director said, "Yeah, we don't want to keep people in the dark." It sounds like what you wanted was something like a Q&A session. Is that correct?
Well, not necessarily a Q&A session, but like well, maybe yeah, maybe yes, actually.
Okay. Yeah.
A place where if there's uncertainty, sorry, you can like ask questions like, hey, how do you guys envision this? Has this been thought about? That kind of stuff, and that I feel like all of that is missing right now. And part of that is because they don't have the answers themselves anymore. Like if I ask some questions like, hey, what do you expect I will be working on in like 3 months from now, half year from now? Uh, it's all basically, oh, we don't really know yet.
I see. So, um, the reason I bring this up is because there's a disconnect, and it's either happening between you two or it's happening between me and the events that transpired. Because in my mind, it was, Remy saying, "Hey, I don't like that this all took place over email," and the director saying, "We don't want to keep people in the dark." But that's not mutually exclusive with communicating via email versus having a forum. Do you think it was clear to her that you just meant, "No, I'm totally fine with the rapidity at which this is happening. I just wanted there to be a dialogue"?
Uh, I'm not sure if that got across like I intended it to be, because I think like those are both separate issues where I'm like, I think the way that this is being communicated isn't, the proper way, and I feel like, that's something a lot of my peers share with me. And then on top of that, there's like just not enough information. So like, there's an improper way of communicating like big changes, and
Yeah,
there's also just not enough information to support such big changes.
I see. I
If
see.
that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. It does. So it sounds like she didn't necessarily get the idea that, oh, hey, no, sharing now is problematic, sure, but also if you're going to share anything, maybe have a Q&A so that at least everyone's on the same page.
Yeah.
Do you have regular meetings set up with this director?
No, not at all.
And is there another one set up at some point?
Nope.
Okay.
No, and it is one of those things where they're like, oh, you can always walk in, the door is always open. But I don't know her well enough to, really feel comfortable just walking in and being like, hey, this is on my mind, or this is on the team's mind, or whatever.
So here's what I at sort of a high level, I consider this to be that workers are starting to become disgruntled, and possibly there's a solution and possibly there isn't. But I think in any case, you have to decide, do I want to do something about this, or am I willing to just sort of put up with it? And there's some amount of putting up with it that everyone's comfortable doing, right? If a problem lasts for 2 days and it could have lasted for 10 years, it's like, well, whatever. But if this is going to be your new future, which is working in doubt, not having certainty about these things, and not feeling like your voice is heard, that could be more frustrating. Um, why don't you feel comfortable walking in to this person's office?
I think basically just a disconnect between the two of us. Like she doesn't, on a Wednesday morning, doesn't walk around on like the work and be like, hey, how are you? Like you don't have to go into like a depth conversation, but there's basically no personal connection to the team. For example, our old manager, 2 or 3 times a week, he just walk around, say hi, say good morning to everybody, and maybe ask some trivial questions and walk on. But I feel like just doing that every now and again, just lowers the threshold of being approachable, and
Yeah,
I'm
I
I'm
see.
missing that. I feel like.
So I think part of what you're butting up against here is that people do have different management styles and even different chatting styles. This person might be more introverted. They might just feel like, why would I make small talk with someone? I'd rather get to know them in a more meaningful way to them. I have the open door policy. To me, given what you've witnessed, given how you feel, it sounds to me like you should go and talk to her, use these office hours. One, not only to get to know her, but two, because you had some concerns that sound like weren't clearly communicated. She might still say, hey, we don't have answers to a lot of these questions, but you might say, well, it'd be nice to make that common knowledge then so that at least everyone's on the same page about not having those answers. Otherwise, I think what's going to happen is you'll feel like you're not being heard, and the venues that are available to you to fix this aren't being utilized. So you might feel helpless when really there are avenues you haven't tried yet. So I would say to try exercising those. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, feel as helpless here. and so that maybe the stance on things becomes common knowledge. I think that there's another aspect here that's maybe a little bit tougher, which is um, you're in a company with a hierarchy, and the concerns of the sort of leaf nodes of that hierarchy versus the people higher up is going to be very different. So probably this is not a very big concern for this IT director, and possibly it's because of what you said is that, oh, we're just doing work as usual, and maybe the new people aren't acclimating as well, or maybe they don't have certainty about what their roadmap is going to be. But you've still had work and you're still doing it, and maybe she's just counting on each individual team doing it, and that's her plan. And it'd be good to know that that's her plan, but
Yeah,
it
yeah.
doesn't sound like she's letting things just stay on fire. Do you get that impression that things are going poorly or that the business is suffering?
Uh, yeah, somewhat, because we're also not picking up new things, because we're unsure like if we can or not, and asking questions about like, hey, should we be doing this? Basically stay unanswered.
Mm-hmm. So you're not picking up
So
new
I
work, you said?
Yeah, well, no new big things. For example, for like an internal client for us comes needs like, hey, can you create this piece of software for us, or can you work on this plugin? We just basically say we don't know if we can or not, and if
Yeah.
we ask our higher ups like, hey, is this a priority? Should we be doing this right now? It's basically, we don't know either.
But then what happens as a result of that? Is your team, possibly your new manager who I know has only just started, are they empowered to make that decision for themselves then to move forward? Or are they, the manager makes the decision and then the higher up people say, no, you can't do that? Like what's happening?
Not sure about that.
Okay.
I
So
like at the moment I don't even know who should be making these decisions.
um I'm still uncertain whether this is a visibility problem or not, because it's possible that the business could be doing well, that these decisions could be made well, and it's different from the status quo and it feels alarming to you. And it's
Mhm.
possible that things are actually being dropped and that no one knows who should be responsible for something and they're just pointing fingers. To some extent, I would say it's it's maybe not your job, but it might still be a concern of yours. And I think it's worth figuring out where those lines are, because just as an example, if you see another team doing something that's bad or that's wrong, you'd have to analyze like what's the impact of that? Do I need to elevate this concern? Like I'm not on that team, so I'm not going to deal with this code, but is it worse for the company? In this case, there's a new client who comes to you and says, "Hey, we have some work we'd like you to do." Your management goes and talks to the higher ups. They say, "Well, we don't know about this." And then the knowledge of that just sort of fizzles. Is the work being taken on? Are those clients being told, hey, just in the future at some point come back to us? Is management waiting on the higher ups to have more clarity into this? So let me ask you this: if you still did your work and do you feel like you're occupied during work? Are there large lulls or dead times?
No, so currently I'm working on a big migration project that's going live this weekend actually.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so that's been occupying all of my time. But after this, I'm currently still unsure. What do I pick up after like Monday after all tested and done? What would I be working on? And who do I even ask? Do I ask my new team lead? Do I ask the IT director? Do I ask the guy in the middle between those two? Like unsure. I'll probably figure out next week somewhere. Hopefully.
So, we're gonna eventually need to get back to your new manager about this. But
Mhm.
Monday, you're gonna go in and let's say that the migration went totally fine. Testers are saying everything's green. What would your action be? What do you think you would do? Where would you start?
I'll talk with my new team lead to ask him, hey, what do you want me to work on? Uh, but and this might just be uh, some bias or guesswork, but most likely he'll tell me, I don't know because I've only been here a week and I don't know what you normally work on.
Yeah. And then what would you do if you heard that?
I'll go to the next up manager above that, but he's been with the company for 7 weeks. He barely knows me. He doesn't know what I work on. So, and then the person above that is the new IT director who's been there for 2 months. Same thing. So it feels like a lot of knowledge about the teams and what they used to work on has just disappeared in the last 2 months. And the entire chain has been renewed uh, with non-IT people as well.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's just like a gap there now.
So let me ask you this, because part of what I think about, and you might have heard me talk about this in some other mentoring sessions with other people, not necessarily you, is that as you grow in your career, as you grow in level, you switch from being told what to do to becoming more independent to eventually leading other people to eventually coming up with problems for entire business units to solve. You have some knowledge here. You've wanted to shift more toward management and give it a shot. If you were the manager, if those three people in your management chain came to you and said, Remy, what do you want to do? What do you think is right for this team? Do you think you'd have some insight there?
Yeah, yeah, I believe so.
Okay. So if Monday rolls around, you talk to your new team lead who's only been there for a week as your team lead, and they say, I don't know what you usually work on, elevate, elevate. No one knows in the chain. Would you then take on what you think is the right intention? How would you go about doing this?
Yeah, I'd suggest some things that I think are high priority things coming from the business towards me.
Mm-hmm.
I would suggest those things and ask which they want me to work on then.
So here's here's what I think. I think that going into any sort of possibly difficult conversation, it's worth trying to predict what the other person might say. And in this case, I don't know what you think about the difficulty of the conversation, but Monday's probably going to roll around. Maybe there's some work from the weekend. Maybe you get that done in a couple days. I don't know. But at some point, you're going to need to talk to your new manager, who's still going to be new at the time. Hey, what do you think I should do? You think they're probably going to say, I don't know what you should do. At that point, you've sort of predicted accurately. But then I think the prediction itself is not what's valuable. It's what do you do with what you think is going to happen. And in this case, given that you think they're going to say no, and given that you have insights, rather than escalate to someone else who you probably think is going to say no, I would probably talk to your manager and say, look, here's what I see as the landscape. We've had a lot of management changes. I have some pretty good insight into what I think we should do. I've also been maybe steering a little bit toward management myself or something. I don't know. You can figure out the messaging. But essentially, like, I don't want to be directionless. And I suspect that after I've gone through these hops of talking to people, that I will be directionless. So why don't we set some direction ourselves? This does a lot of good things for you. For one, it lets you exercise your independence. Two, is it signals to your manager that you have a grip on what's happening. And three, it gives you the work that you would have otherwise not had. So, how do you feel about that as a route of going in with a battle plan, essentially?
Yeah, I think that sounds fair. The only thing I usually don't do that kind of stuff is feel like if I prepare something I expect a certain outcome or something and then that doesn't happen, I feel like I'd be too focused on the thing I expected already to be kind of caught off guard if it doesn't. If that makes sense.
Yes, it makes sense. I think this is part of this career growth, though. I think that early on, when you're planning things in a small enough scope, and this is true for pretty much anything, when you plan things in a very small scope, it's easy to control the variables that might happen and make sure that you get that outcome. But once you start involving more people, once there's this uncertainty coming from the inherited business burden of just new people came in, then I think it's harder to control for those variables. And instead of trying to control them, I think it's being more flexible with the outcome. So you might not get the outcome you want. And maybe it's worth planning what that feels like. So let's say you do talk to this manager and you say, look, here's what I see as the landscape. Here's what I think we should do as business objectives coming up. And they say, you know what? I don't agree with that. Like, what might you do as a result of that?
Yeah, I don't know. Like if I go in without any thoughts of like what I want to do, I feel like I'd be okay with that. If I feel like okay, I've set up this plan and things I would want to do, I think I'd kind of uh read back on it. Like I think I'd lose my flexibility if I set up a plan beforehand myself.
Um, why is that? Because that seems very interesting to me.
Uh, I don't know. Uh, I feel like if I set my mind to something, I really want to do it that way and do that thing. So if I'm like, okay, he's not gonna know, and I come with an offering of solution or it's something I want to work on, and if I agrees, that's fine, and I can do the thing I wanted to do. And if he says like no, but like doesn't come with an alternative, or like comes with then something I've not planned for, or something like that, I feel like I'd have a harder time accepting it then than when I just go in with like a blank mindset and be like, okay, let's just roll with the punches.
I see what you're saying. I think this is hinting at some deeper things than what we're talking about on the surface here. If you were to go in with a plan and you are more well informed than this new team lead, and the team lead has reasonable basis to disagree with the plan, let's say they say, just as an example, that'll cost too much money. Okay,
Hmm.
totally reasonable, right? You can't just create money out of thin air. Hopefully you'd find that acceptable, by the way, but let's say you didn't. Let's say there was
Yeah.
something that it's like, oh, I just don't believe in that idea. This is essentially a difference that could possibly be reconciled or possibly not. And people typically will leave teams or companies if they disagree with the fundamental philosophy of running that team or that business. And at some point, you've got to decide, am I okay with the environment that I'm in? Do I want to change it or do I want to find a new one? That is always the core question to ask yourself for any job you're ever going to have. So right now you're frustrated, you're confused, you have expressed some of these confusions, and I'd say it's early on enough where it's not like you've tried for so long that okay, this is
Yeah.
irreconcilable. So I wouldn't conclude that yet here. But you can go talk to this manager. Having a plan is important. Getting tunnel visioned on that plan, I'd say, is a problem that we need to address. But not having a plan would basically be you going to the manager saying, I see some problems. Your manager says, okay, well, how do you propose fixing them? You've been here for a while. You're like, I don't know. That would not be
Yeah,
a
that's
fruitful
useless.
conversation. So I think you need the plan. And I think you need to predict then a little bit more about how might this go if they disagree. What might they disagree on? So for example, let's back up and let's do sort of mini role play here. You have some insights you've said, and you presumably can boil those down to some tasks for at least you, possibly for other people. Okay, so let's say you go talk to your manager and they push back with some sort of reasonable assumptions that they have. How might you react based on that?
If they're, reasonable suggestions, then of course I'm fine to go with those suggestions.
Would you converse at all and try to push back on some of their suggestions? Like, well, I've been here for a while and actually you say this isn't feasible in 3 months, but here's why I think it is. Would you just say, like, okay, well, now I know their viewpoint. I should go and regroup and figure out my next plan?
Uh, I guess that one depends on like how big the rift is between how I envision it, how big he envisions it. Like if there's like I think that his decision is really at odds with what my clients internally want, then I would probably push back on it. If I think it's something that's reasonable, then I'll probably just go with it. At the end of the day, he's still the team lead, so he decides.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Um, and now let me ask you, what do you think is likely? Do you think it's likely that you would propose a plan and the manager would push back? Do you think they would be like, "Oh, thank goodness, I haven't had any direction. I don't know, I've been confused myself."
Uh, I'm unsure about that.
Okay. Yeah. Um, with that said, I sometimes feel like there's a right thing to do and maybe not even wrong things to do, but maybe inactivity or something like that, such that it doesn't matter if it's hard, if it's difficult, if you get pushed back, and you're frustrated. Possibly other people are in the same boat. Have you talked to them? Do they feel like, yeah, we also don't have direction once we're done with these projects?
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of frustration in the team. There's also people already, mentioning like if it keeps going like this, I'll just look at other teams and stuff like that. It's something that equilibrially felt between the team pretty much.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Lost more people than just Remy. Okay, yeah. I think these signs are pointing to this is sort of the right thing to do is go in, have your plan, talk to the new team lead and see how they feel. And maybe this is me being brazen, not being in the situation, or and maybe it's just a different working style, but if this person, this team lead pushed back or something or said, "Oh, go talk to the higher ups," I probably would say, "Look, I suspect that the higher up people are going to tell me I also don't know what to do. No one has this context. They're not going to have just gained it in 2 months. I have a reasonable plan here. Who do I need to sort of convince, or how do I convince those people? Do you have my back?" I'd probably just ask those things because I wouldn't want to work in an org where I don't know what's going on. I don't trust leadership. I, I think those are core to just operating day to day. And
Yeah, and
yep, go on,
sorry.
go on.
Oh, I feel like there's probably my biggest frustration point. I feel like, of course you can't gain all this knowledge in 2 months, and that's fine. I don't expect you to. But at least from what's visible for me, not a lot is done to get this insight.
Yeah,
And maybe that is being done, but just not with me, maybe with my colleagues, but like I don't know, maybe they're talking with the clients directly. Uh like maybe I just don't have the insights. But if they're doing that, then it's not being conveyed clearly that they are actively working on getting these insights or getting a plan ready. Like I doubt that they're sitting still, just tumbling their fingers and seeing how it all pans out. I'm sure they're doing something, but that something right now is a black box that's just panning out to be quite frustrating for myself personally, at least.
Yeah, and I think this is exacerbated by your team lead's absence in what you consider to be a crucial week for actually showing your face and talking to
Yeah.
people. And that's understandable. And I want to get to that at some point. It's what's written next. But this not having visibility into something, like I said, I think this can be potentially a problem in a different way. You probably shouldn't know what's going on in a day to day in like the CEO, for example. And to not have that kind of visibility is fine, it's acceptable. But they should have probably shared a high level, like, here's what we're doing in the next 6 months, or here's what we're doing in the next 5 years, something along those lines. Um, with this new management, they're close enough to you that they're not the CEO. And it's reasonable to have some confidence, especially if the team is feeling this, which is again why, if nothing else comes out of this, the two biggest things I'd say are: one, have a plan, talk to your team lead on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever you feel like you've got the stability from the migration that happens this weekend. And two, feel comfortable enough, find some way to feel comfortable to go into the office hours with your director and say, look, some of these things weren't communicated totally properly. And some of it is just still, we're feeling this frustration. It's like, this is a problem for us on the ground floor. So yeah, two biggest things so far: talk to your team lead after the migration is done and have a plan for what you propose, and enter the director's office hours and communicate the frustrations again until you feel like you've got some acceptable answer, I guess. Um,
Yeah, like it's an example of like how I feel like the new team needs to do a better job. Like I said, I'm doing this big migration this week. Ever since it's got communicated he's our new team lead, I've been seeing him in all the emails regarding this. Sending the updates, and like he hasn't even bothered to like drop a message like, hey, is this weekend still on? How's it going? And if you're like as a team lead, that's basically the bare minimum you should do when like a big project is coming up in the team, even though you've just been there for like 2 days.
yeah, yeah, I agree with this. So let me sort of explicitly say a transition point here. Let's keep those two big things in mind because I think this is going to have to be the path moving forward. And now I want to talk about the manager's onboarding to your team, this team lead. So you said that Monday of this week is when they started? Okay, and are they present in the office?
Uh, so I've been at home at least Thursday and Friday because I was sick, but I was still, online on Teams and everything working. And I was in the office Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I haven't seen him either of those 3 days actually. I think he was in the office one of those days, but we just, basically ran past each other.
Okay. Because here's the thing. For sure, there should be some communication, but it's possible that communication happened in a way that, for whatever reason, it was missed and it's no one's fault. So, for example, let's say this person has a kid and their kid is in the hospital or something. It's like, okay, I don't expect them to be in the office. I don't expect them to be productive, but I would expect them to say something like, I'm not going to be around. Is everyone on the same page about this? Is it possible something like that happened and there it was in a way that you didn't see because of the stomach flu or something?
It is very possible.
Okay.
Yeah, because like I don't know like the ins and outs of like the last 2 days, at the workplace. I haven't matched anyone today. Like, hey, did you see new team lead today or something? So maybe he had like a small talk or something at the office today to the new team. I wouldn't know, but I
Mm-hmm.
feel like if you did, you'd probably send an email or like a Teams message to like, hey, I know that you weren't there, but come see me Monday because I had a talk with the team this week and I'd
Yeah.
like to have one with you as well. That's what I would expect from someone personally,
I
if
agree.
that were
I
the
agree.
case.
And this is what I say is I think you need to make sure these things are visible. When I was working last for a company, it was during COVID, and during the isolation part of it, people were really good about sending out emails to everybody because that's the only way you could communicate with anyone. No one was in the office. Then during the transition period, while people were starting to go back, anything that happened in person was likely not replicated to email. So people lost the awareness of, hey, I'm going to tell the people who are remote workers. And yeah, I would have to find out through sort of not the optimal means, I would say. So is what kind of makes me think something like that might have happened because this is very unusual behavior. Have you talked to your direct team about whether they also feel this? Do they have any more insight into why was this manager sort of aloof?
No, from what I talked with two other colleagues directly about this, and they feel pretty much the same as me, where they're like, we haven't seen him. Why is he even our new team lead? That kind of stuff.
Yeah,
But I haven't talked to him in the last 2 days, so maybe something changed. I wouldn't know.
yeah, I see. Okay. Bottom line from this stuff is if you think this person is going to be your team lead for, let's say, months, and that it's not just some interim thing that's going to last for a couple weeks, which, by the way, if it was an interim thing, it's like you should have known about this. But then if I were that manager, I probably wouldn't have one-on-ones with my direct reports that I'm only going to have for two
Yeah, no,
weeks.
easier to stay.
Yeah, he's here to stay. Yeah. So, bottom line is if this person's here to stay, you'll need to have some working relationship with this person. And I know you've had some bad experiences in the past. And I think what you said earlier is that you sort of don't think they'd be a good manager, but you don't have any experience with them as a manager. Is that correct?
Yeah, like of course, like what I've heard, like I've had negative working experience with him, but
Yeah.
like there was in a pair situation basically.
Yeah.
I've heard secondhand from other people how he is as a manager. But I take those with a grain of salt. I've never worked for him directly,
Yeah.
so I'm open to how he wants to do that. There's probably some bias in that, I'll admit from what I've heard from people. But I won't say like, okay, he's a bad manager because I don't know because he's never managed me.
Yeah.
So, I'm waiting to find out, but, having a bit of a bias already and then, seeing how the first week went, I do feel like that negatively impacts my opinion.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And I
Yep.
find it quite hard to decouple that from, having a professional work ethic and being like, okay, maybe he's busy, maybe he's, overwhelmed by something else.
Yeah.
So there's possibly a bit of that.
No, no, and I understand. I think that's very tough. The other thing too is like I don't know anything about this person, and you know probably a little bit about this person, but you never know. Do they want to be a manager? Do they want to be a good manager? Are they trying to improve? Have they already improved since you last saw them? Are these gripes that you had originally going to be irrelevant because they're not going to work in that same capacity with people anymore? So there's a lot to be seen. But like I said, if they're there to stay and you don't plan on leaving teams, then you'd have to find some way to make it so you don't hate your job. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that's going to involve either talking to this person or dealing with it or leaving the team or something. Let me ask you about that. Have you thought of what would it take to get you to leave the team? At what point are you frustrated and you flip a table and say, "I'm done. I'm out."
Oh yeah, that's something I have thought about when I feel like if the situation doesn't improve in like 2-3 months down the line and things are like still confusing and basically black box, nobody knows what we're gonna do. Then I have looked and asked around other teams like, hey, are you guys looking for people? Could you use me? Uh, so it is something I'm open to if things don't improve at
Yeah.
least.
And to be clear, you said you've already talked to other teams about do you have an opening?
Well, not really an opening, but just gouging on a high level, like, hey, how are you guys like uh understaffed, like could you use someone,
I see.
but
Uh,
not directly asking like, hey, can I guys come work with you? Not that direct.
yeah. And it's worth asking. I know how you've signaled this in the past to me. Would you consider looking outside of the company?
Yeah, but like not as not as
Yeah.
my first go-to because I really like the company, I love the people I work with. You know if I could, I'd work it for the rest of my life. I'm that kind of guy. I don't like job hopping a lot. But if this is like a broader thing that keeps on happening, then yeah, I would.
Yeah. 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 Okay. I think my view of the sort of plan, if I were you, would be the two things I talked about earlier, which is go and talk to people. This is certainly the kind of problem that communication solves, as opposed to, well, we just need to fix up some code or something. And then
Yeah, it's
barring,
definitely a communication issue.
yeah, barring that, it would be looking at other teams, and I would expect someone to have an opening or something. You might get some politics involved, and you get blocked by moving, or who knows what might happen there. But it's at least a good plan for now, and then reevaluating if any of this goes awry and you can't find a path through this.
Yeah, and I think also I should probably mention about that I feel like left a bit of a sour taste in my mouth is that, as we've mentioned before, I've been working on this moving towards management myself,
Hmm.
did a training looking at this. I conveyed this to the new IT director, conveyed to the new manager, and they never communicated anything about like this team lead position becoming a thing. It was all done like behind closed bars. They never communicated like, hey, we're looking for someone in this position, and not saying I should have been the one that had gotten it, because I think they should definitely weigh in my skills and experience and stuff like that. Uh, but I feel like at the very least they might have said like, "Hey, we know you're looking to move into this position, but we're looking to fit it elsewhere." And I kind of feel like that left a bit of a bad taste in my mouth, where they knew I was aiming for this. I actively conveyed this. I've been actively taking steps toward this, and then they just basically did it all behind closed doors and dropped an email like, "Hey, there's a new team lead, by the way." So I feel like that might also, well, it probably did affect my personal opinion on things as well.
Yeah.
Where I feel like, hey, they just, shoved me aside, didn't even, inform me that this was a thing or anything.
Yeah. Um, Let me think about this. Because there are many different factors here to weigh. One of them is that you may have been personally spurned by this, but you've talked to a couple other colleagues who also see that your team lead hasn't been present and active. And then presumably you've talked to other people. I think you might have mentioned this, but I'm hazy on it now. You talked to other people about the larger org plans and how they're unclear, and that you're not the only person in this boat. So while it is unfortunate that this happened, it sounds like there are problems that are worth addressing. Also about this, I think there's any number of reasons why someone might have picked a team lead, and it's hard to say what they should have done. Like, did they owe you an explanation? Did they have to keep you in the loop? How many other people were there? Maybe there were, I don't know, 5 people vying for the position, and it was never up for grabs. I don't know. I don't know what the situation was there. These are the kinds of things I would say don't let it fester as much as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm also aware that like they don't owe me anything in that regard. Like it's a company, it's not my best friend, So I do kind of take that approach to it. They're not obligated to inform me of this if it's like they had someone in mind, they just gone for that person instead. That's fine, but I just feel like personally it feels a bit sour or something.
Yeah. I think
Especially when like the model is always like, oh, like we're a human focused company, like we always like think about our employees. Now, like, okay, you say that, but then you don't really show these kind of things.
Yeah, I think this is a broader problem, which is that a company has a
Yeah, for sure.
stance, yeah, but management doesn't necessarily exemplify that stance. And it's because management didn't come up with that stance, right? They've had their own stances that they probably do some things better than the company does and some things worse than the company
Yeah.
does. But I agree. It sounds like you'd like more communication by default. And as I mentioned, I'm getting your viewpoint on this. And I recognize that that's a good thing. And I would try to do this if I were a leader there. But it's hard to know from the situation where are they focused and where do they feel like they need to communicate or what's a blind spot for them. So it's possible, and this is why I say to talk to them. It's possible this is a blind spot. It's possible you talk to the IT director and they're like, oh man, I get it. Yeah, I see this. Yeah, other people are starting to say this too. I didn't understand where you were going originally. We've got to fix this. And then, sounds like everything would just be fine and they do what they can. It also is possible that they're like, we just don't agree with this. You don't need to be told about anything and you'll do work when you're assigned it. And that's another signal. And you need to do with that what you will, which is either, yep, I agree with this, or I'm willing to live with this, or I want to find another
Or
team.
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So um do you feel empowered? Do you feel like you can help change the outcomes of these things?
Uh, Unsure. I maybe, especially since it's not just me, from what I've gathered from talking to colleagues as well. But on the other hand, I also feel like having already mentioned these things and just feeling like they're kind of just shoved aside, I also feel like it might not change anything.
Yeah. Um,
I know there's a bit of a pop out answer maybe say maybe, but
no. I think it's fine. I think here's what I've sort of learned and seen in so many different realms of my life is that you have influence, even if it's in small ways, to change outcomes. And that's what being empowered is, but people don't recognize it all the time. So sometimes they don't exercise those options that they have. And in this case, sometimes just starting this conversation, sometimes just being another point into this conversation is a good thing. And as a very innocuous, sort of silly example, how many times has someone ever been like, hey, you should watch this show, you should watch this show, and then a third or a fourth person tells you, and you're finally like, okay, now I'll watch it. And the first three people are like, well, why I suggested this too, why didn't you watch it then? It's like, it just took some critical mass of that happening. It was no individual person who finally convinced you. It was that four people said it. Okay, maybe there's some reason to do this. That's what you could act as here, even if you feel like there's no other information you're adding to the conversation. It's just another data point. So that's why I don't think it's ever worth just saying like, okay, here's they've proven in the, 1 week to 2 months time, depending on who we're talking about here, that they're not willing to work on this. I don't think we can conclude that yet. I think it requires a little bit more trying. And that's why I'm hopeful that something will happen here. And if not, hey, teams have crashed and burned before. Might be management switch. They made a bunch of mistakes. A whole lot of people left the team or the company, and hopefully they learned from that. But that's possibly in your future too. Who knows? But let's pursue one step at a time. How do you feel based on what we've talked about? Has it changed your lens of this situation at all? Do you feel like things are less dire or more positive? Or
I think things feel about the same, but I think you did give me some perspective, which is nice to have, and some tools to go in, Monday and how to talk to my manager. So
yeah, yeah, and I hope it goes well. It doesn't.
same.
What was it?
Hope it goes well too.
Yeah, well, what I was gonna say is, it doesn't sound like it's a dim hope. I
No,
don't
no, no.
you've never mentioned that someone's sort of out to get you or they're impossible to work with or something. Like your manager, your team lead is a human. They're a person, they've got feelings, they've got goals, and a lot of that's just an unknown right now. So maybe you talk to them and they're like, I had no idea, or I'm new to management, I was scared about this stuff myself. They're probably not going to just open up and tell you everything, but you might get that signal from something that they say, like, oh man, yeah, I haven't scheduled one-on-ones with anyone. I didn't know when I should do that. That would let you know that, oh, it's inexperience that's causing this and not a willing lack of paying attention to people. So yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know about that. Like he's been in management for a while, and uh, like so, and from this from what I've heard, like he's the kind of person that just walks out of a meeting if he doesn't get his way either. So I feel like he probably would have already done this if he wanted to, like schedule those meetings.
Yeah.
It's like his way or the highway. It feels like kind of.
Yeah. Um, there's another route that I guess we haven't talked about here, which it's too early to say or to exercise yet. But at some point, if you do find out that, hey, this manager has some sort of toxic tendencies, that it could be worth escalating to the people above them and say, look, this has been going on for a long time. They just walked out of that meeting the other day. They didn't book one-on-ones with us when we started. We have no direction. This person is not a manager really. Like that is a good signal.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
I feel like that's a bit of a backhand way to like go over someone like that. So I don't think I would do that quickly.
I
Uh,
wouldn't suggest doing it quickly. I would suggest it if you feel like there's no other recourse and that your life is like actively worse. And then I guess sort of more important than that is that you could see it hurting the company. So every once in a while, there'll just be like a bad coworker, someone who for a long enough period of time that you can't just say, well, they were going through a rough patch, maybe like a year, they're just not doing good work. They're bringing down other people. They're causing bugs. And there's only so much you can do by talking to them. And that is why management exists. That's one of the jobs that they have. So I recognize it doesn't feel good. And yet it's like, well, if you care about your job in the company, yeah.
yeah, that's when I also feel like I find it hard to like uncouple like the personal from the professional there.
Yeah.
Where I feel like the guy himself, he's not a bad guy. I can talk with him. I've talked with him in the past normally, but like outside of work stuff, fine, and he's a decent guy.
Yeah.
So, if I then go like, hey, you suck, put it really bluntly, it like kind of feels like attacking someone as well, which I don't necessarily want, just because I think professionally they're not doing, what I expect someone to do.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, like I said, I don't think this is a route you should jump to. And I think it's the kind of thing
No, no,
where,
no.
yeah, if you've exhausted your other options, it's like, well, now you're at a point where you still love the company, you still love the people you work with, your team lead hasn't improved when you talk to them, you give them enough shots. At some point, it's like, when do you escalate? By the way, there are times when I feel like you either can't or shouldn't talk to the person. It's like, what if someone's actively harassing you? Probably talking to them and saying, hey, can you not harass me? It's like, they're probably not
You're
going to be like,
gonna
oh, yeah, sorry. I just didn't know you didn't like being harassed or something. It's like, those are causes for escalation. So at some
yeah.
point, I feel like the professional realm falls into this too. You're not being harassed. You're not, they're not, and yet still there's a route you could take there. So anyway, part of the reason I list this stuff is because I think a lot of frustrations stem from feeling like I've made an effort and I've concluded that the effort won't matter when possibly the effort wasn't enough or at the right time or yeah. So uh, I hope that at least makes you feel like I can still do stuff here because you can. Okay, so anyway, that's that. If you have any thoughts on that, feel free to share. If not, I'm happy to move to something else.
I think it's good to close that topic.
Okay, yeah. So what's up next then?
So yeah, last time we talked about the AZ-104 trailing,
Hmm.
finished that. I think there were some good bits, things were some less good bits. After that, the cloud migration basically took over all my time, so there's didn't do any trainings after that anymore.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, it's did some good things, so that's proper news for the next training I want to do. That there'll probably be some good things in there as well.
Yeah, yeah. Also, this was the one that was like 40 hours long, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And would you say it was more good than bad?
No,
Okay. But still, I mean, even if out of 40 hours, 10 of those hours were worthwhile, sometimes
yeah,
that's kind of all it takes to make it a, a good thing to have done. Plus, I think it was required anyway, so it's like
yeah.
you had to do it.
Could get some rest for the other 30 hours, so that's nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I'll just say there wasn't more good than bad. Still apparently worthwhile. Management training. So you had a meeting early to mid November. Was with the third party company? Is that correct? Am I?
Yeah, something like that. So there's like the training coach, so to say.
Mhm.
At like an intake with him, where you like set your goals and discuss like what you would like to learn out of that training. Then there's like a thing where you get a feedback from colleagues and friends. The one I also sent to you.
Yeah.
And then there's like a 3-day training course. We were with 10 people in total. Where you just share with the group like, hey, this is the thing I want to work on, and this coach basically with the group gives you some tools and handles to work with, and gives you some insights, and it's like really focused on self-reflection as well. Like, hey, where does this issue stem from? Like, and these are the things you might want to do to help. And you like not only read through the feedback you get from your colleagues, but also in that group, like the experience, like, hey, how do people in this group deal with those kind of struggles and so on.
Yeah. Wait.
And
Before you move on, was that stuff with the 10 people in total? That happened before our last session, right? I could have sworn you told me about this.
No, that was after our last
That was
session. So
after.
the
Okay.
intake was before that session, and I did it 2 years ago for like a different level of this training as well. And this happened about a month ago.
Okay. So can you tell me how did that go? Did you like it? Was it good? That 3-day training?
Yeah, I liked it. There's a lot of good takeaway from it, I think. It's also really heavy. It's like 3 days in a row, 10 hours a day, and you're like stuffed away in a hotel. And the hotel was nice, so it had a spa, so I went swimming and in a bubble bed every morning, which was great. Uh, but no, it's mentally quite rough because you're really like taking the time to look at yourself, like try to identify like where are these problems coming to. So for me, I basically said the same thing I've talked about with you, like that's setting boundaries for myself, saying no, stuff like that. And there's also feedback I got from a lot of peers that I sent a feedback request to, which is people saying like, hey, you can say no, right? We won't be upset if you say no. Uh, so for me, those 3 days were really focused around that. And you basically have a little talking group where you have to do a little presentation about like, hey, this is the thing I struggle with, and then people share their experience with like, hey, I struggled with saying when this and this happened. I try and think like this and this and do that and that, and I think that was helpful.
Okay, so I want you to drill into this a little bit more. And I don't want you to, it's like, I don't want to poke the possible trauma that had happened from having to live this for 3 days and talk about the things that you think are gaps in your personality or work life. But um, Was it insightful? Did you get any strategies you didn't know? Did something take more that was harder to communicate than through mentoring?
Uh, I think it went great. I think just being there physically for like long extended hours and actively talking with people. There were also at some point there were like two play actors basically where like play out a scenario
Hmm.
where you like don't set where he basically tried to put my boundaries and he get me to say yes every time even though I really didn't want to. Uh, and I think just actively working on it for extended periods of time is also nice. I think it's additive to the sessions I have with you. Uh, and a lot of the things uh, you say and they said reinforce each other as well.
Hmm.
So I think that's good to see as well to get the information from multiple standpoints basically, and even though they all say the same thing and you inherently pretty much know it, I think it helps to accept it as well a bit,
So,
to
so
also hear.
this was like November 13th to 15th or something, right?
Yeah, something
So, something
like
like
that,
that.
I think.
So it's been maybe only 2 or 3 weeks. Have you noticed a different perspective that you have as you now look at these opportunities that arise? Has your behavior changed at all?
I wouldn't say it changed necessarily just yet, uh, but I do think it's something I think back to every now and again, now and then. So I think in the long run that will help me to just remind myself of these things.
Yeah. Okay. Um, there's sort of there's like a larger behavioral and cognitive trend that I sometimes see, which is sort of recognizing that I'm going to say this very generally. So
Hmm.
hopefully this doesn't come off wrong. Recognizing there's a quote unquote bad behavior, recognizing that this might be the set of behaviors that we could use to change it, and then not making that change. And I see this path a bunch of times, and it's why we struggle with things. It's why people say like, oh, I have my demons, that sort of thing. Um, this is something that you yourself have recognized. Like I have a hard time saying no. It's something you recognize enough to the point where you brought it up in this training, and then it's something that your peers also reinforced, and it's now on your mind.
Yeah.
At some point, if you want this behavior to be behind you and not just on your mind, something has to change. And it's hard to make those changes because in the moment, you probably feel differently than you feel divorced from the moment. So, right now, I'm not asking you, hey, do you want to go rock climbing this weekend? And you're already exhausted, but you say yes anyway. We're just talking about hypotheticals or what if you had to say yes. And in that role playing situation, it's similar. The stakes are very low. You could say yes, you could say no. It wouldn't really make a difference. And you know what the right answer is. But in the moment, you're going to feel differently. So, um, I think this is something that I don't think we've touched on what could solve this per se. And I think the tenant system was supposed to help. And I did see further down, you said it's not really working for you. But I think I would try to keep that in mind moving forward is at what point am I have I changed behaviors and what caused it? Hang on one second. Sorry. Do you have any insight into that? And I know this is a very general question, but it's 3 years from now and you feel like you have a healthy set of boundaries. What got you there? Like, what do you think would have had to happen?
Yeah, I think just slowly actually doing it and seeing that there's no bad consequence to doing it, but only basically good things because I get more peace of mind and rest.
Yeah.
And actually, I was thinking about it a little bit, but I think I have actually been trying to do it. For one thing, I've stopped doing is just responding to teams outside working hours. For example,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that still try to call me, even though my status is like set out of office or offline, and I usually still try to respond to them or something. And I basically told myself, okay, you're not working. If they didn't check your team status, that's on them. And just trying not to respond to them.
Yeah.
And I think that's a first step at the very least.
I think that is very good. And I think this is part of where I think celebrating successes is important. You recognize this to be able to tell me about it. But maybe there are other ways that you're doing this too that are unconscious, that you don't realize that you've said no or that you've set a boundary that is healthy and it's different from what you've done. So it feels like there's friction. And they say that you train the people around you. If you respond to your phone literally 1 second from when it rings or beeps or whatever, then people are going to be trained to be like, oh, Ramy always responds. I'm going to call him. He's going to respond.
Yeah.
What you're seeing about people sort of ignoring your status is that momentum from the training you've done with them in the past. You've always responded outside of work hours, so it doesn't matter what your status is. That's just a weird blip, or that's a change in the team settings UI or something like that. So eventually they'll learn from your behavior that he does not respond outside of work hours. And in my mind, that's a very healthy boundary.
Yeah, I think what you mentioned is exactly what happened. Like at some point, one of the guys he called me at like 5 p.m. I always stop at 3:30 p.m. because I start really early.
Mm-hmm.
And the next day I told him like, hey, did you see that my status is out of office and I'm not there? And he told me like, oh, always worth a try.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, yeah, normally I would have probably responded indeed. So, it was always worth a try, but I'm gonna stop doing that.
Yeah. And by the way, it's like, this is I'm in the no harm, no foul camp of like, people can still ping you whenever they want, right? They can ping you at 3 a.m. It's on you to set a boundary and to not respond. I don't think other people should have to change their behavior in this case, at least. So I think that's good. I think it's a healthy boundary. I also think that's a pretty clear and sort of obvious boundary. And I don't mean that in a bad way of like, you should have seen this before. It's like most people would probably say, don't do work after work hours. And that'd be like, oh, yep, no controversy. So I wonder, are there others that are less obvious? Like, hey, I'm bodily exhausted and someone asked me to go rock climbing or help them move or something like that. Again, is there like a slightly less obvious, like, well, I want to say yes, I don't want to displease them. Anyway, those are the things. These are not specific questions, but like analyze them as you move forward and realize what would it have taken me to say no. I think that's a good question to ask yourself.
I mean, I think last Wednesday was a clear example of this. You know, I always go climbing with some buddies of mine on Wednesday. I wasn't feeling too well already. I wasn't yet, aware of the fact I had a stomach flu. So I went climbing anyway, even though I felt, a little bit nauseated and tired. And it, take me actually falling out of a route and, just dizzying all around. My ears were ringing and everything. That I was like, okay, I should probably go home. So I had to like really feel bodily distress for me to say, okay, I probably shouldn't be here. Even though
Yeah,
I should have probably, listened to my body before that and said like, hey guys, sorry, I'm not coming tonight.
Remy, I feel like this is going to be a difficult path if that's what this took. So, look, I've had the same sort of thing happen in the past for me too. I'd be working out and I'd have some like almost like a snare in a muscle, and I'd feel like I should probably stop. And I pushed it enough times where I learned, okay, that's it. I just next time I feel that, doesn't matter how bad, doesn't matter if that's the end of the workout, I'm stopping. And I've done that, and I've probably prevented injuries by doing that. The problem is when you prevent something, you don't necessarily know it would have happened. You can't know you would have gotten injured, right? Because you didn't get injured. In this case, you felt bad beforehand, you felt bad during, and you probably felt bad after. There's got to be some feedback loop that eventually gets you to say, wait a second, I'm not in the right mindset slash physical body stance or whatever to be able to say yes to these things. Otherwise, like I said, what would it have taken? There's like an epistemological response to this that I feel, well, how do you gain knowledge? How do you learn something about yourself? And um, I, I know this probably doesn't sound as impactful to you as it might to me, but try asking yourself that question even right now. Like, what would it have taken Wednesday for you to have said no? And this is an actual question, not a rhetorical question.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, like I would have already should have like I would have been incapacitated before I went for me to say no probably instead of like getting incapacitated while being there.
Yeah,
And incapacitated is maybe a bit of an over exaggerated word there, but I hope you know what I mean.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like I would have probably already have had to be like vomiting on the couch already before I would be like, okay, I probably shouldn't go.
So
Because and like even then it's probably for the wrong reasons because then I feel like oh I might infect somebody else with this. Like it's not even because I would feel bad, but it's because I might affect someone else.
so now let me ask you this: what should have been the signal? So that was what would it
Oh,
have taken, which is like a practical, here's knowing me, what it would have taken. Oh, a gunshot wound to my leg or something like that. Like, okay, I can't go climbing, guys. What looking back should have been the signal?
I mean, what should have been the thing was already like, okay, hey, my stomach hurts, I'm a bit tired. my body's clearly giving signals that it just wants to lay on the couch and listen to some music and watch an Adam stream, but
Giving
I
signals.
ignored that part.
Um, okay, so Remy, this is the retrospective process. This is why tenets are supposed to help because you're supposed to have the frame of mind to be able to look back and say what worked, what didn't work. So I know we haven't gotten to the point for why you say they haven't been working, but originally it was you were ignoring the reminders, which no process works if you ignore the process. And then maybe this I should just ask you instead of speculating. Why do you feel that they didn't work since our last session?
Yeah, so I set the weekly reminder every morning. I'd get a pop-up that's like, hey, do your tenet. I take a moment to think about it. Uh, and yeah, I don't know. For me, I just sit there and be like, okay, what did I didn't write them down or anything. Like if something happened, so I basically just, even if I got the notification and I tried to actively do something with it,
Yeah.
it just basically felt like it did nothing for me.
Okay.
Maybe I'm just not doing it right, but I don't know. It just doesn't really suit me, I think.
And I think that's fine. I don't want to shoehorn a methodology onto something where it's not going to work. But the way I sort of look at this at a high level, and this is a very like software developer way of looking at things, is there's a problem. There's a future where this problem never gets solved, and there's a future where this problem gets solved. And so far, we've been on the path of it not getting solved. And even asking you now, what would it have taken? You're like, well, I would have needed to be so sick that I'd be worried about getting other people sick. So there's got to be some mindset change. This is clearly a mindset thing. It's not a physical response. There's no reaction happening at like a chemical level here. It is your mindset is one way. If you recognize this is causing harm, the mindset needs to shift. It's going to take some medicine to help it go down somehow in the form of other people talking to you about it, you recognizing other concerns or problems, or I don't know what. Anyway, we at some point need to figure that out. And as you know, mentoring sessions are going to come to an end pretty soon. So this is something for you to take from the larger series of this, which is if nothing has taken so far, it means trying something different or trying something again with renewed intensity. So I'd like you to think on that somehow, but how this will change. Um, and yeah, this is where I've kind of said this in the past and possibly to you, but there's this concept of like nature whispers. And I don't believe in this from like a superstitious sense, but basically you get signs from different people and different things that, hey, you probably shouldn't do that. You probably shouldn't do that. Nature's shouting at you right now. Like Wednesday was a like, Remy, you really shouldn't do this. Your body's telling you no. Everything's telling you no. You went and did it. You were nauseated. You had to go home. So yeah, let's let's probably leave it at that because I think we've hit an hour. Is there any other? Yeah, we have. Is there any other like quick thoughts you have here?
No, no, I don't have anything else, I think.
Okay, cool. Yeah, then thank you for your time. And thanks for sharing this stuff. I felt like there was a sort of more somber tone here, and possibly it's because I started things out differently without an audio test and sort of jarred expectations of it. But
No, no,
also, I think it's the recent news you had. Yeah, sorry.
I don't think it was on you. I think a lot of, I had a bit of complaining to do. Today it felt like a bit, a lot of things work related at the very least, have been a bit negative. So that's probably why it felt a bit somber there.
Yeah, and by the way, that's totally fine. I don't mean that as a complaint. And to be honest, like that's what I'm here for. That's essentially my job in these sessions was the career mentoring, and the other stuff is sort of separate. But I think they're intermingled in your case of the boundaries thing, which I'm glad you're taking the work healthy route of saying no on teams. All right. Well, anyway, thank you. I will wish you a good night now, and yeah, have a good
Thank
weekend.
you very much.
Yeah.
You too. Thanks for your time.
All right.
Bye bye.
Take care. Bye, Remy. All right, chat. You know the drill. It's everybody clap for Remy. Now I type out my chat message. What? How does that happen? Yeah, thank you for being on the show, Remy. For those who haven't seen the mentoring sessions, that's sort of generally how they go. It's a conversation between just us. Chat is saying stuff and I wasn't reading it during that time. And I want to go back and read some of it. But it takes a lot to share what are personal problems and also things that you might be concerned other people will see. Like Ramy said that he doesn't really like his team lead so far. It's like his team lead's probably not going to watch this channel, but still you have to wonder like, can I say this? Do I need obscure details? Hey, man, let me scroll up really fast and just see because the last thing I saw was the audio sounds good. Yeah, let me just see. For the big email announced they had a more intimate Teams meeting with employees directly impacted where we could ask questions. Yeah. Hired by my old manager and loved the way she dealt with challenges. She'd stay late with me to try and debug things. My new manager came in. He didn't have the programming knowledge, so I'd have to find things out myself. I think, you know what? This is another good example of a case where it's just different management styles or different skills. Like maybe that manager, if they had programming knowledge, they would have helped. They just didn't, and they're not going to acquire it just to be able to help you. So yeah, I think it's very easy for us to get used to stuff, good and bad, by the way. Like if it's cold in your room all the time, you'll eventually just get used to it. You'll wear a sweater or something. And if something's good, you'll also get used to that too, and it'll stop feeling as good anymore. It's like you can't eat the same meal every single day, even if you love it. What's happening? Yeah, hopefully that cleared things up. If I didn't feel comfortable outside of an appointment, I feel like that may help. Yeah, that's another part of this. If there were, I think Remy expressed that it was, hey, I don't really know this person, so I don't think it was a case of the impromptu aspect of office hours versus scheduling it. So, yeah, yeah. During the end, I got put under a manager that hated me. Not sure why. I felt he did. Then I was laid off. I don't think he ever talked to me. Sucked. Make way more, and I'm happy. Blessing in disguise. Yeah, I feel bad. I agree with you, by the way, about people generally quit managers. I also generally see this happening whenever someone is fired, laid off, or kind of leaves the job from a bad team. Rarely are people like, well, now I make less, I'm less happy, I'm whatever else. It's like usually it's a good move to be at a place that you actually like and align with. Dread job hunting and interview processes, yeah. And his French manager, everyone hated him. All but 2 out of 12 stayed. Me and my coworker. Terrible, yelled at everyone. Loved me though, got a raise in the end. Oh man. Yeah, it's one of the cases where I guess a bad situation sort of works out anyway, huh? Don't they love calling it a family anytime they can? Yeah, and this is where I think it's just almost buzzwords. It's like, oh, we're a family here. We work hard, play hard, those sorts of things. It doesn't mean anything. That's why you base things on what people do, not what they say. Everyone went to HR to complain. Nothing changed. Sometimes you're just screwed. Also, sometimes this just implies that the company is not set up well. Uh, I mean, if all your employees are complaining about a manager and the company's big enough where it's not like that manager controls the fate of the company, it's like probably get rid of the manager, right? And if that's not happening, then like I said, it's a signal. And it's a signal you can take, it's a signal you can ignore, but it's a signal. And if enough red flags stack up and you stay anyway, I think it's like, well, you were given the information, maybe not in the best way, but you always have a choice. Choices aren't always easy. All my managers and how a lot have done this. Yeah, I generally agree with this. There should be some kind of contact on day one or even before day one. And if there isn't some kind of contact, then like I said, there should be an excuse for it that makes sense. Like, hey, my kid was in the hospital. Totally not going to hold that against you. Like the accidents, emergencies, they happen. But yeah, not communicating that, I think that makes it a problem. Um, they're working on basic stuff. Yeah, probably do that as new IC onboarding to a new team as well as a new manager. Yeah, I think so too. And when I've joined teams, I have met with the people who are close enough afield and I've asked them questions like, what do you do? What do you like about your job? Any tips for me as a new employee? And I think this is where I say, like, you have more control than you might think in almost every situation. And control is maybe a bad word to use there, more influence. Like, you move into a new apartment and you don't know any of your neighbors. Like, maybe, I don't know, bake some cookies and bring them around to people. Like, it's just another way of just injecting some amount of agency to what you're doing in your life. I was like, oh, we have this onboarding process you should go through. I've had one meeting with management and you go through all the departments. Yeah. Green screen cropping out that bit of his glasses is distracting. Oh, because of the refraction of light from these? Hmm. What's this guy's high level goal anyway? MTrack? Yeah, Remy had talked about wanting to become a manager at some point and still kind of sticking with some IC work. You do this a lot. I've not seen this before. Got to run. Very interesting stuff. Oh, sorry. Strawn's not here to hear any of what I'm saying here. Well, I'm almost at the bottom of chat. We're like quickly catching up. Anyway, to answer this, even though Strawn's probably not here, there is the mentoring schedule, and it has the historical sessions for two of the mentees so far. And in general, they're about a month apart for each person. So I typically do about 3 per month. Find deferring an answer helps the most, depending on workflow. File a task, give it back to them, set a remind me. Try to never gut yes or no to most things. Yeah, that's actually a good point. I wonder how, like, I think in a professional life, this definitely works. In personal life, I think it's a little bit harder. Like, hey, it's Wednesday. Do you want to come climbing on Wednesday? It's currently today. I think it's hard to defer that for too long. But yeah, maybe even 5 minutes is all it takes. Yeah. Always hate getting random calls while working. People trying to be nice by using things like silent after work hours, after hours. Huh. Companies get fined if employees are called outside work hours. Wow. Yeah. We knew it was pointless to contact him. My wife and I went to France during whenever I guess the World Cup was it 20 I don't know, 2016 or something like that. And man, no one was working. like, like you'd go to a restaurant and they'd have like a little TV or a phone set up. It just like shut everything down. They still would pause and say like, okay, do you want a seat or something like that? They weren't not doing their job at all, but clearly they were more focused on the World Cup. All right, sorry, I finally made it down to this. Let's see. I thought to myself, hey, should I share this on stream? Basically, here's the conclusion. If I wouldn't say it to his face, probably shouldn't say it at all. Yeah, by the way, the likelihood of anyone you're talking about seeing the stream is very low. I mean, if I were, getting 10,000 viewers per day, yeah, maybe it'd be different. But yeah, I don't think so. Just a first year in college, work management people sounds scary. No, I have no experience with work. Yeah, I'd say on the whole, excuse me, probably everyone you talk to with enough experience will have had some bad manager at some point. But I think in general, um, once you found a team you like, you can generally just sort of stay on it. And then you might have had more bad managers than good managers, but hopefully you had the good managers for longer. Can you move next to us and bring cookies? No, I already moved now. Not moving again. Feel like really going with your gut is important. Listen to how you feel. Listen to how others are doing. If everything is okay, this is not working, company doesn't care and such, time for an exit strategy. Unfortunately, the company very disorganized, lots of hostility. Everyone was complaining, no autonomy as well. Everyone quit, which was very unfortunate. Yeah, and there's what I was saying. I think it's not like there's always a path to fixing all the problems you have with the company, but there's almost always a path to fixing at least one or two problems you have. But yeah, at the end of the day, if you have bad management and then people supporting those bad managers, then there's no hope there. Who cares? I think everyone's kind of in this bucket. People pretending to be smart. Hand a task to your friends, they'll be tracked. Yeah. Excuse me, could you pile a rock climbing on Jiro, please? Okay, so it is 12 o'clock, and we now have a decision point. Animal Royale plus lunch or just lunch. And I honestly, I'm kind of leaning toward just lunch because I don't think people are going to play Animal Royale. Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. And then we'll start up again, and I'll just get back to coding. What's for lunch? I bought some Thai food yesterday. I'm gonna have the Thai food leftovers. Okay, well, thank you all for watching. I'll be back in about probably an hour. What keyboard am I using? I am using a Corn keyboard. Doesn't show us lunch on stream. I never ate lunch on stream. No exploding sheep. Maybe, you know what we could do? How about this? Maybe for the next break that we would have, we can play one game of Animal Royale. I'll write that down so I don't forget. Next break, Animal Royale instead of Jump Royale. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Like I said, I'll be back in about an hour. It'll be coding for another maybe like 3 hours. I don't think we're gonna get done with the tavern, but we'll make as much progress as we can. Thanks for watching. Have a good rest of your day, everybody.